Tsunami and left sickness, danger valley. Quick to transgress, playing with fire continually. The retinal scans as time advance, so that's technology. Where this up only one knows the Almighty. Some serial killers come from the human laboratory. Eugenics project side effect, torment the baby. Medicinal bag of chips with baby greedy dummy. Marionette the money power hungry. Already, insanity tail a customizing species. First the other interfere where they should not be. Backfire, sit down patient in a them lobby. There's repercussion for just the acts of iniquity. In Jacob of indignation, there's no pity. There's no remorse and no way out and no sympathy. Continue to run your mouth and now you're gonna see. With your people life, safety wise, money wise, you itching to be destructive, never have nothing good to give, blatant with your negative, wolf away, wolf rolling, wickedly inquisitive, my life is your prerogative, don't need to be instructive, don't try tell me how to live, the vision is so distorted, the mission was interrupted, burden coming down and them, you don't get your moment of fame. Things they call an act of God, merely an act of man trying to be God. Set up that anti-life of illusion and invited the whole world to them yard. Subliminal messages intruding so rude when invading the thoughts. The one go silence the lamp, but the lamp protected by thy hand. An act of God, merely an act of man trying to be God. We set up that anti-life of illusion and invited the whole world to them yard. Subliminal messages intruding so rude when invading the thoughts. The one go silence the lamp of the lamp protected by thy hand.
Shalom, 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 Mishpachah, shalom, and welcome to another Friday Night Live. I hope everyone can hear me well. If you can hear me, put a 1 in the chat. If you can't hear me or see me, put a 2 in the chat. All right, I can be seen and I can be heard. Hope everyone is doing well this evening. Hope everyone is doing well wherever they are. As you all know, we had a couple storms that just passed. And it's been devastating in some areas. Some of our mishpachah may be without power still, and some of us may just be getting things back online. Shalom, Rebbe, can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I could see you and I can hear you. I don't know if I could be seen or not.
Yes, I can see you and I can hear you.
You can see me. Okay. Well, I can't see myself, so I don't know what's going on.
I could see you clear. I could hear you clearly.
Excellent. Shalom, Mishpachah. How is everyone doing? I hope everyone is doing well. By the mercies of our King, we want to say thank you all for the many prayers that has gone out on the behalf of the Mishpachah throughout the southern states, where there have been many storms rolling through, and we're not even sure if there's anything left out there or not. But I hope and pray that it is over. Nevertheless, we are going to go through some more strange times, and we just got to prepare ourselves for it. Anyone that's over in the Florida area, I hope that you all are doing okay. Please let us know. I sent out an email to everyone, so that for those of you who are in those affected areas, to let us know that you're okay, because we don't know. We don't have any way to contact. I don't know precisely where people are. So if you're on live, or if you look at this later on Rumble or on our sister channel on YouTube, please let us know that you're okay. North Carolina, certain parts of Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, Florida, of course, maybe even Alabama. For those of you who have been affected, please let us know. We want to make sure that you're okay. And as you know, we're living in some very serious times right now, and this is the fall season, where the Feast of the Most High Atonement is coming up, and many other things. And we can see that the world is rapidly going into war, chaos, social upheaval, and all kinds of things. And so that's the reason why we have to make sure that we are in good standing with our King. All right? It's very important. Everything that we have been talking about is to prepare you for such a time as this. As Yeshua prepared his Talmudim, his disciples, to ready themselves for the fall of Jerusalem, today we are instructed to also warn the listeners, whoever that we teach, of the same situation. The world is rapidly changing, so we got to also prepare ourselves for that change. So I hope everybody's doing well. We want to say shalom to the families over in the Caribbean. Happy Friday Night Live. Shalom to the Mishpachah over in South and Central America. Shalom to the Mishpachah right here in these divided states of America. Shalom to the family across the border in Canada, in the UK, in Africa, Europe, the Middle East, and every island of the sea. We greet you all by saying shalom, shalom, shalom. And also to our prayer team and to those who are new to this ministry, welcome and shalom. Welcome and shalom. And thank you all again for the prayers, each and every one of you, and also the support that you have given in such a time as this. So with that said, we're going to open up with a word of prayer. Brother Shea is going to be teaching tonight. The subject is weather warlocks. And I believe that he's going to dive into some things pertaining to the strange occurrences that we find for some reason is happening in certain places. Mm-hmm. And there are people who are confessing that, yeah, we have the ability to do stuff, just like the Bible says in the book of Daniel, that they will think to change times and laws. So there are people who think within their minds that they can manipulate situations for certain results and fool us into believing that this is the doing of Elohim Almighty. So with that said, we'll ask Ella to render a tefillah, to pray on behalf of the house of Israel in the name of our King.
Shalom, shalom, family.
Shalom, Elder. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, Elder.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you again for sparing our lives during these difficult times, during the hurricane, the tornadoes, and all the chaos, all the bad things that is going on. Father, in this life, in this world, we thank you for sparing each and every one of our lives. At this time, we thank you for gathering us together from the four corners at this time, preparing us for your return. We ask you, Father, to guide us tonight. We pray on behalf of those that are not feeling well in the body, especially those that have an operation, those that are sick. We pray, the Father, that thou may work miracles in the life of your children. Pass your healing hand upon them, remove the pain, and allow each and every one of them to be healed from the crown of their head to the sole of their feet, that all will give you thanks and praise. We thank you for those that are visiting us for the first time. We thank you for our regular follow-up, our fellow brethren here, there, and everywhere that are gathering. We thank you for Brother Yana, our teacher. We thank you for Brother Oshe, our teacher tonight. We pray that thou may be with him, comfort him, give him the words. Speak to him, through him, for him tonight, and allow the words to come out fluently with power, that all of us will be blessed as we hear the words. Father, your words is a light and a lamp unto our feet. Your words is and your commandment. That's all we need, Father. Bless us and guide us tonight. Be with us and guide us from the beginning to the end, because we thank you. Through your Son, Yeshua, we pray. Amen. And amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Elder. Thank you.
Welcome, welcome.
All right, Mishpaka, I hope everyone is doing well tonight. Tonight's class is going to be a very interesting one. I think it's going to be something where we can all learn a couple things on what is going on out there, all the craziness that we have been seeing when it comes to the way how this weather has been going on for the past decade, I would say. And for a lot of us, out there, our brothers and sisters that are coming into the understanding, they'll have questions that will be like, well, what does this have to do with salvation and a whole lot of other things? And I'm going to cover a lot of that tonight. So the first couple slides that we go through is just going to be basically setting the foundation to why we're here and what we're doing, and I'm going to get right into it. So let's get everything and get started. So once again, Mishpaka, we are sounding the alarm to keep our peoples, and I put the word peoples instead of people, just for the way it sounds, our peoples informed. Remember, according to our Constitution, and I'm not talking about the United States of America, I'm talking about what we have in our scrolls. It's called the Torah. It's our laws, and it tells us how we should operate and what to look out for in every situation. So we have guidelines that we always supposed to follow and go by. And we can see the state that we find ourselves in today. When we stay away from those guidelines, we see that we become the lowest of low. When we obey those guidelines, things change. A lot of us are now starting to experience those positive changes when we be obedient to the Most High. And for those of you who may not have experienced it yet, start being obedient and you'll see the blessings the Most High will give you. We have to be faithful and we have to be true. So again, tonight we're going to dive into this class here to inform our people. But Mishpaka, as usual, there are some Hebrews who are going to say, just like the sister over here, not the same old thing again. We're always talking about end time stuff. You know how people are. It's no different. They've been doing that since the days of Noah, the days of Peter and Paul. They were saying the same thing. Since the fathers fell asleep, we've been hearing about this end time stuff. The brother over here is saying, this stuff is boring. I'm tired of war, talks, politics, and negative things. And it can be a little overwhelmed sometimes to always be saying some of the same things over and over. But the day we stop sounding alarm, Mishpachah, is the day that you should be worried. Because again, it's a job that the Most High has instilled all of us, men of Israel, to do. So the question is, what are we to do, Mishpachah? What am I supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to keep our mouth shut and just say, we spoke enough times, we talked about these things many times before in the past. We got videos on YouTube, on Rumble, we have the website, we have tracks, we have other brothers that can do things, and the list goes on. So are we supposed to just stop and be quiet? No. We're still supposed to keep warning our brothers and sisters. Because like everything, when we don't say something or use what we have, you lose the skills that you have when you don't use it. If you don't use what you're supposed to do, you will lose it. If you don't sharpen your knife, it gets dull. If you don't practice what you preach, you would lose it. The enemy is going to come right in underneath you, and he's going to take you out. So our job is to always warn our people. The book of Luke chapter 21 and verse 36, and it reads, watch you therefore, and pray always, that you may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. So this is not my words, but this is what Yeshua is speaking, and he's saying, he's telling us to watch and pray always. So it's not something that I just have to sit back quietly because of whatever circumstances. Every opportunity that I get, I have to sound the alarm. I have to make sure I'm looking out, and I'm comparing to see what's going on, and I'm warning my people, and I'm taking heed myself also. The book of 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 7 reads, but the end of all things is at hand. Be ye therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And when it says sober here, as you look up to the corner here, it says sobriety. It refers to the ability to have a clear understanding or undistracted mind, able to make life-altering decisions. Because when your mind is altered, you can't think. When you have so much on your mind, you can't function. You'll become a liability to the people around you and even to yourself. So when he talks about being sober, it's not talking about just in food or drink or whatever it is, but he's referring here to a clear understanding and a clear mind to make decisions like this, okay? And he ends it by saying, watch unto prayer. And that's what I am trying to instill and enforce here. The things that are happening here, they're happening for a reason. A lot of us may not think so. They may think it's just another day. But to every day, it's a closer day to the Most High's return. And this is where we always pray to make the time short. The watching refers to us observing our daily lives within the system and communities we live in. So wherever we are in the world, whatever continent or island that you're on, and the communities you live in, everything that's going on in the neck of your woods, in the vicinity of where you live, you have to take that and you have to compare it to what you see in the scripture. You are a watchman. You're supposed to know what's going on. That way you can be able to prepare yourself, your families, and you can warn your brothers and sisters. So we're comparing it to what we read in our prophecies, because that's what we have. We have the scrolls, so we can look at it and say, I see that here. It's telling me this is supposed to happen, because it's a sign. We're not blind, we're not deaf, and we're not dumb. That's what the world wants you to be. But we have eyes to see, ears to hear. And that's what the word says. When we have these abilities, you make use of it. So in everything we do, the news, politics, science, sports, religion, food, etc., we watch and we compare, because in all these different things, there are things that our enemies, and yes, we have enemies, that put these things at play against the name of the Most High and against his people. Because the enemy is cunning and he's going to try his very best to destroy us at any means necessary. Ezekiel chapter 3, verses 17 says, Son of man, I have made you a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore hear the word at my mouth, and give them warning from me. So this is not, again, my words. The Most High is telling you, give our people a warning from him. You ask the question, do we need a warning all the times? Yes. Because if you don't warn, destruction will come. He says, I have made you a watchman unto the house of Israel. So every person that is coming into the house of Israel, that is a male, that has responsibilities, they are required to be a watchman for their homes and their houses. Okay? Ezekiel 33 and verses 6, but if the watchmen see the sword come, and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any person from among them, he is taken away in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at the watchman's hand. So, again, we have a responsibility that we have to warn our people when we see danger. When things are not right, we have to speak up. There's a saying in the world, if you see something, say something. So therefore, our scrolls tell us, be faithful in what we do. Now, the prayer part, the prayer refers to us doing our diligence of communicating with our Creator. We, the children, speak to the Father about our needs, concerns. This is how we express our gratitude regardless of the situation. So no matter what happens that we find ourselves in, we always have to communicate with our Father. The problem is, the way how a lot of us are brought up, we only want to come to the Most High when we need something. We don't want to thank him when things are going good. When things are bad is when we want to run and start looking for help. That's when the world start looking in a direction and start calling on God. But they don't realize that no matter what happens in life, we're supposed to always do our due diligence and communicate with him, good or bad. Job chapter 1 and verse 22. It says, in all this, Job sinned not, nor charged Elohim foolishly. So if you understand the story of Job, when you read the entire record of how he lived his life and what he went through, it's an indicator of a perfect example of how we should carry our lives. Because at times when we find ourselves with our backs against the wall, the lights are too bright, our palms become sweaty, our cheeks clench tight, a lot of us lose hope and we give up. We say, you know what, I'm going to go back to my old ways. Faith is not going to work. But again, in the good, the bad, and the ugly, Job did not sin and he did not charge Elohim foolishly. He kept a level head because he was sober. He was always following what he was instructed to do. And when the fire was too hot, he survived because he gave his full faith to the Most High. Daniel chapter 6, verse 10. Now, when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, so when you read the story again, when you look at the record, there's always someone plotting against you and I because we plan to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. It's because as long as you try to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, the enemy will always plot against you. So Daniel was doing his due diligence by keeping the law, statutes, and commandments and communicating on a daily basis. And because of him doing this, the enemy put out a decree, a mandatory decree. And it was signed. It continues to read. He went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, because according to the laws, when we pray, the Most High says face towards Jerusalem. This is what we practice, our homeland. He kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his Elohim as he did aforetime. So it's not something that he just wanted to do for a show, because in some people's mind, the window is open and you want to be a spectacle before the world. It's not about that. But he was doing what he always done, which was communicate with the Most High. He gave thanks. It's very important. No matter what happens, he gave thanks. Remember, Daniel was in captivity. Remember, he was thrown into the lion's den. He was also thrown into the fire. And in all those things, he did what? He still gave thanks. What say you? Will you do that? If the law comes knocking on your door right now and, try to lock you up because of whatever things that they come about with? No, this is where we supposed to have our examples and start putting these things to practice. Because when the stuff start getting harder, as these days start to speed up, we will see what happens. A lot of people would say something, but when it's time to actually make a move or do things, you can't find them. And then with Proverbs 28 and verse 9, let's look at that. Book of Proverbs, chapter 28, and we will read verses 9.
I also want to, when you have a chance, Brother Shay, to pull up 2 Peter 1 and 19.
Pull up which one?
2 Peter chapter 1, verses 19, when you have a moment. When you're done with your...
Okay, let me get it ready.
With your
2 Peter chapter 1, verse 19.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, Proverbs chapter 28 and verses 9 reads, He that turneth away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer shall be an abomination. So during the good, the bad, and the ugly, we have to stay faithful, because when we start to not be obedient, that's the turning away from hearing. Because no matter if your back is turned to the left, to the right, to the front, wherever it is, you will always hear. But the turning away is saying that you are refusing, you're being rebellious from being obedient. When you start to turn away from the law, the Most High is going to do the same thing you do. You turn from him, he's going to turn from you. That's as simple as it gets. Yes, Elder?
Yes, so according to Proverbs 28, verse 9, so we can see the scripture tells us, He that turneth away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer is an abomination, shall be an abomination. So it looks to me that those people out there who call themselves Christians and they are not keeping the commandments, they are not keeping the law, their prayers is an abomination, right?
Mm-hmm.
All praises to the Most High.
All praises. All right, let's look at 2 Peter chapter 2 and verses 19, right?
That's right.
Okay, go ahead.
Just based on what you were talking about with the times and so forth, and people going all over the place, swerving, and it says in 2 Peter 1:19, we have also a more sure word of prophecy. I like that. I like the way Keepa puts that out. He says more sure word of prophecy, whereunto ye do well that you take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place. And that's exactly where we are right now. We are in a dark place, dark spiritually, dark physically, dark in every which way, until the day dawn and the day star arise in your hearts. Brethren, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because you can see even what the so-called leaders, we've talked about the politics a little bit in a few past live streams, and you can see that the people flip-flop all the time. They say certain things and people follow that. People are voting, people are making decisions because they just want to see what they want, not realizing that there's an agenda. And the agenda has people all over the place. So you don't know if you are a man, a woman, what are you really standing for? Back in the day, we understood what people believed and stand for. A handshake was sufficient to solidify a deal, or to, what a person word was their bond. Now that doesn't hold any water. I mean, things have changed so dramatically that the only thing that we have is the word of the Most High, and that has been the only thing from time past even until now. And I'm saying this because don't watch how the weather, whether it's political weather, whether it's physical weather, whatever is going on in the world, do not follow the multitude. Don't be swayed at all. Stay in the Torah, as Ella mentioned before. Stay in the Torah. We have a sure word of prophecy. Right now, again, we see everything is ramping up in the East. And right in these countries, they're talking about war right here in America. Things are not going to be looking good for a lot of people. And the storms that has happened, whether it's man-made or not, or whatever the case may be, are examples of what we've been talking about to make sure that your house is in order, Mishpachah, okay? And yes, Brother Akin, that's correct. Don't go wave surfing. You want to follow everything. You just want to ride the waves. Can't do that. We have a sure word of prophecy. It have spoken. It is true. Stick with it, Mishpachah. You're not going to go wrong.
That's right. You have to stay constant. You can't be all over the place. All right, so let's continue. So tonight's topic will be focused on the prophecy of the weather. I put it this way for a reason, we'll see. We will ask the necessary questions to understand what the hell is going on, because that's what people are going to say. It's like, every time you turn around, something happens. Matthew 16 and verse 3 reads, "And in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, but can ye not discern the signs of the times?" And I put this there because a lot of our brothers and sisters who are in the walk or coming into the walk, or who are still out of the walk, they will talk about all kinds of different things when it comes to keeping the law, statutes, and commandments in the correct way. And when you start to talk about end time stuff, they start to become nervous and frustrated, and they want to go all over the place. But the simple things is what Yeshua was speaking about here. He was saying, if you can't see the basic stuff, how are you going to explain the things in prophecy? And he put everything for us there in the elements, for signs and for seasons, etc. Every time he spoke to these Pharisees and Sadducees and these other hard-headed men of Israel, he would always refer back to the things, the simple things in nature: gardening, farming, fishing, just the luminaries, things that the average person can understand, that a child can understand, because at times we want to complicate things. So tonight we're going to look at how all of this comes into play to get a better understanding. So we're not here tonight to talk about conspiracies or tales. That's not what I'm doing. So if you think it's a conspiracy theory or some magic show or something, that's not what it is, Mishpachah. But to prove that these things has been going on for many years, and the information has always been there. They have been showing us movies and shows, but never wanted to admit the truth when it comes to controlling the weather. So we're going to talk about a lot of things that we see. And you can look on the screen here, and you can see some examples of these movies here. The Perfect Storm, for example. I don't know if anyone have ever seen that. Weather Wars, and that's very interesting how they place that, how they come up with these names for these movies. And you can see it says Earth Under Siege in that little, let me put the cursor right here, see right here, Earth Under Siege. Back over here to the first one, it says Into the Storm, Prepare to Go. So they're telling you to prepare to go into the storm. A lot of us have probably seen Twister. How many of you have seen the movie Twister? That's about the tornadoes, right? Now, there are so many different varieties of natural disasters, because that's what they call it, natural disasters. At one point, to some degree, it was a natural disaster, but the way how things are going, a lot of things are not natural anymore. For example, artificial intelligence, that's not natural. Continuing, we see from the director of Independence Day, the day after tomorrow. So they're predicting that there's going to be a big freeze. And I'm going to talk about things about that too as we go through the class tonight. Geostorm. How many of you have seen that movie? To the top it says, control the weather, control the world. It's very interesting because that is a direct quote from one of the presidents of the United States, or the vice president, I should say. The movie Volcano. San Andreas. This is about the earthquake. So we're not talking just about hurricanes or tornadoes. We're talking about every catastrophe when it comes to how things go around the world when it comes to the weather. And what controls the weather, Mishpachah? When we go back to Genesis chapter 1, he put the luminaries there, and there is the moon. She controls the what? Seasons. So in the back of your head, while we're going through this, say, just remember that, because a lot of those things are going to pop back up as we're going through this, okay? 2012, it says, we were warned. This is what they're telling you. They're always telling you these things, but again, a lot of our people take this for entertainment and not for preparation, okay? So here are some questions. Can mankind manipulate the weather to control it? This is one of the questions that we're going to definitely answer, okay? Why would they want to control the weather? This is another question that we are going to answer. And how did they get such information, or where did they get information from? We're going to answer that too. So the brother here is like saying, riddle me this. I got to try to figure this out. So Mishpachah, let me see that. I missed a slide. Okay. Okay. I think I missed a slide this, but let me put it this way first. Can the weather affect you, your way of living, your communities, your food, your jobs, your nation as a people? That's the question. Say again, Ima. Okay. So again, Mr. Bakar, in the chat, can the weather affect you, your way of living, your communities, your food, your jobs, your nation as a people? That's the question I want to ask. Everyone's saying yes in the chat. Okay. So this sister is saying, Mira, that's a good question. This brother is saying, okay. I'm going to go to this slide here. Ask the same question. Can the weather affect you, your way of living, your communities, your food, your jobs, your nation as a people? And this is some examples here. Look at these examples. We just had Hurricane Helene, like Rebbe said, you have to have the little lean into it, right? And a lot of people are still without power from this first storm. A lot of bodies are missing from this storm. A lot of flooding is still in the area from this storm. Over here, you have Milton, who just snuck by and hit another part, and the same thing has occurred. Bodies are missing, the water is up, power is out.
Alligators everywhere and snakes.
Gators and snakes are
Stingrays.
roaming freely.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle here is elk fire. This is what's going on in Wyoming right now. There's a big fire. They're not talking about that. That's happening. That's tearing up a lot of the countryside over there. Now I'm gonna go back these 2 slides because this was supposed to go later. So, Brother O'Shea, what does this have to do with salvation or me being an Israelite? This is the question here, right? Now I went back that way just for a reason. I wanted to go forward to come back. I'm going to read this here. Psalms 83, verses 3 and verses 4. This is one of my favorite Psalms, right, Rebbe?
Yep.
It says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So again, the brother's saying, riddle me this. So Mishpachah, when you ask me, what does this have to do with salvation or being an Israelite and serving Yah? I'm going to tell you, our enemy is clever in what they do. And as we go through tonight's class, you're going to see exactly what I'm referring to. So let me go back forward again. Can the weather affect you? And in the chat, this says yes. This is the examples that I put here. Okay, Hurricane Helene, Hurricane Milton, the fire that's going on, and there's some more stuff that's coming down the pipeline, Mishpachah. Can the weather affect you, your way of living, your communities, your food, your job, your nation as a people? If you answer no to any of this, then this class is not for you. Okay? This means that you don't care about life. That's fine. You have better things to do. You're okay. You can sign off. You can go do what you have to do. Here are some examples. Over here, the first one, it says how the black communities became sacrifice zones for industrial air pollution. Now, how does it tie in with the weather? Well, there's the air. How did it disperse things in the air? When you look through this article, and I'm going to read this, it says one of the most dangerous chemical plants in America sits in one of West Virginia's only majority black communities. For decades, residents of Institute have raised alarms about air pollution. They say concerns have fallen on deaf ears. Now, this is just on a small scale, but this is happening in every state and in every community when it comes to our people. Lo and behold, we are a target, and I'm going to show you more examples. Here's another example in the middle. This article is more than 17 years old. This is from World News, and we talked about this when we had other classes. Air Force looked at spray to turn enemy gay. Remember we talked about this? Mm-hmm. Where they call it the gay bomb. Yeah. And they tried it. They say this, they didn't do anything really with it, but the question is that really true? Because a lot of times they will say something, and when things come out, like they say, the cat's out the bag, they will try their best to cover it up, change the narrative, and say, you know what, now we was trying something, and it didn't really work, and we're going to see. Shalom.
Shalom, everybody. I was just, it's interesting that you said something about the Air Force making a spray to turn the enemy gay. Mm-hmm. Because if they do that, you know, as far as military stuff, just imagine the food that we eat and stuff like that.
And that covers, and that is part of it, because that's why I asked the question, your way of living, your communities, your food, your job, your nation as a people, because again, we're not talking about just a little neighborhood of Israelites, but we are in diaspora scattered all over this globe. And we are in the same predicament as a nation versus the other nations. Okay? And like Rebbe read earlier, that the prophecies are what is identifying the state that we are in as a nation to be true. Now, a lot of us here remember the Tuskegee experiment, right? You guys remember that?
Yep.
This wasn't only in injections and stuff. They put a lot of stuff in the water and in the food and in the air. When you dive into it, within the community that was doing a lot of stuff, and not only in Tuskegee, but other places. Like I always say, they test certain things in different states at different times. So in one state, they'll test, say for example, the water over here. In another state, they will test the soil. In another state, they will test, say, type of product that you're using. They will open up a certain type of store in this state. They will pass a different law in this state. So they test different things. And when they see that it can work and they know how to fix the kinks out of it, then they make it mandatory worldwide or countrywide first. And then other countries adapt it to become worldwide in their own version. So don't think that this is something in America alone, Mishpachah. This is worldwide, okay?
Can I say something real quick before you switch up the slides?
Yes, go ahead.
Again, on that title there, the first one with, it says how Black communities become, quote, sacrifice zones for industrial air pollution. Now, I just want to, again, highlight Black communities become sacrifice zones. That word is heavy. That's a heavy statement right there. They're making it very clear, alongside with the Tuskegee syphilis so-called experiment. There's a movie that came out some time ago where the Black guy became Captain America, Falcon.
Yeah.
Avengers series. And he came across, see, the world was always looking at this blonde, blue-eyed guy as the original Captain America, not realizing that before that guy came out, Black people Hebrews were experimented on to get the understanding. Now, it was a Jewish guy who created the serum that made Steve Rogers to become Captain America. And if he was the one who experimented or tested the thing on the final product on Steve Rogers, the blonde hair, blue-eyed guy, who was a savior of America, the backstory later on with the Falcon becoming the new Captain America, showed that there was a Black guy, forgot his name, Isaiah, I think his name was Isaiah or something like that. But nevertheless, he gave a story. When they found out, he gave a story explaining that before there was this Steve Rogers, Captain America, there was a whole group of Negroes who were experimented on for the super soldier serum.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's the same thing with the Tuskegee experiment. And a lot of those guys went mad. Some of them were, it worked, and they used those men in North Korea to fight against the North Koreans right after World War II. Or they used the guys. They used the guys before then and even after that. Forgot the whole story, but nevertheless, they used those guys, and then they tried to destroy the evidence.
Yeah.
But he happened to escape, and he went out and he rescued a whole bunch of guys, Black guys, that they wanted to hush up the whole thing. And when he went to do that, I think they locked him up for a long time, and they experimented on him to find out why he survived and all kinds of stuff. But nevertheless, they have been experimenting on our people, and they put it in the comics in such a way that we will look at this thing as just, just some entertainment. But brethren, as the scripture says, a confederacy, a conspiracy, whatever terms we want to use, this stuff is real.
Mm-hmm.
But they hide it in plain sight. So now when the Tuskegee experiment comes out, that we did this, now it's like we are not looking. Sometimes we look for other things, but most of us get comfortable. We're not the COVID thing passed, all kinds of stuff passed. We're not stopping to realize that they have been using our people all along to experiment, right?
Yes, yes.
So we have to be mindful and realize that even the skies, the weather, all these different things. I remember years ago, Castro, before he died, was making a whole lot of noise. Maybe I'll try to find it tonight. That they were moving the hurricanes away, the storms away from America, which affected Cuba. And when Castro found out about that, he made a lot of noise because the Cubans depended on the storms to help water the agricultural areas. Because remember, America had blockades, and it still do, I guess, and the people were starving. So he made some noise about the people altering the weather, and that is something that we need to really look into.
Oh, yes. And a lot of times we just hear certain names in the media, and the media paint them as the bad guys, not understanding a lot of times these people are fighting for good causes. And a lot of times they'll be named bad, evil, wicked, whatever names that they come up with. And then they go out and they kill off these men and take over the countries, and the countries become worse than it used to be. But yes, that is very true. We're going to see some things here. This is an example. Go ahead and read it for me.
American food and beverage companies disproportionately target Black and Hispanic consumers with advertising for high-calorie, low-nutrient products, including candy, sugary drinks, and snacks, according to a new study by the Rudd Center for Food Policy and Health at the University of Connecticut.
Now, you may say again, what does food have to do with it? The weather, Mishpachah, if you didn't know, the food depends on the weather, because that's where you get your food from. So if they're going to manipulate that and tamper with all these different things, they're doing this with the food also. Everything is tied in together. This is just examples that you're going to put together to fit the puzzle together as we're going through this class tonight. Now, the other one is from the New York Times. Read that for me.
It says, people of color breathe more hazardous air. The sources are everywhere. Researchers uncovered stark disparities between white people and minorities across thousands of categories of pollution, including trucks, industry, agriculture, and even restaurants.
So they'll tell you where our people are. Our people are mostly where? In the cities, piled up in the cities. And this is where majority of the pollutions and hazardous air is, because a lot of time these other nations, they live outside the cities. They come in the cities to do the transaction and they go back out the cities. But our people are living in the cities, and we are what's keeping all the cities afloat, because we're doing all the low minimum jobs, buying up all the stuff. We are the most consumers, basically, and we are the targeted ones, as you see there. Now look at this other one here. Go ahead, you want to say something?
I was just thinking, it's crazy to think about that too, because like, because I was watching something on the whales, on how they're the ones who consume most of the carbon monoxide that's in the, the pollution that's in the air, basically, through the phytoplankton, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking, like usually the most busiest cities and stuff like that would usually be on the ends of like the the coast instead of being in like the center of, I'm thinking way back in the day, but either way, it's crazy how things change now that things are getting more modern and how there's more, more pollution in the air. So it would be controlled and concentrated in these cities.
Yeah, and they will tell you, okay, we have technology, and with the better technology, things should become better and greener and all these different things. But Mishpachah, it's a lie. Okay? We have all heard of these companies who dabble in modification of weather and environment. For example, companies like Advanced Weather Modification Solutions. And when you get a chance, Mishpachah, look up these things yourself. Go type them in, look and see exactly what they do. Because they'll give you a little synopsis of what they do. And everything is always in the name of science to help global warming for the good of humanity and so forth, so forth. But they don't tell you the back end of it, okay? Deep water chemicals, Hellenic Agricultural Insurance Organization, North American Weather Consultants, Panhandling Groundwater Conservation District, CS Interventee active in Atmosphere SA, Weather Modification International, NexRad, and of course everyone knows the famous HARP. Okay, when you get a chance, look into this. Now this is an article that says the weather of the future, and when you dig into it, you ask them, what are they talking about the weather of the future? Let's take a look at some things and see. Let me put this link in the chat a minute. Hold on. Pull this aside. I'll open it and copy first, so you guys can see here. When it talks about the weather of the future, Weather 2030. Now, why would I have something called Weather 2030? Didn't we talk about Agenda 2030 recently, Mishpachah? Do y'all remember that, Agenda 2030? So the question is, why would I have Weather 2030? Transforming the future of forecasting. You know, when you forecast something, you're being like one of those soothsayers. And they always tell you, when you look at these apps and stuff, they'll tell you it's going to rain today, it's going to do this, blah, blah, blah. And you look at it and like, it's dry. And all of a sudden, it starts to snow. And it's like, it's never accurate. They're all over the place. But they're telling you here, Mishpachah, let me put this in the chat so you can look at it yourself. They're telling you exactly what they are planning to do, and we are being comfortable with it, not realizing that, hey, we have to prepare ourselves. Let's go back over here. Weather made to order. This is another article that was, I guess, in one of those old magazines. It says by Navy Captain H.T. Orville, Ike's advisor reports man's progress in weather control. And over here, you see Franklin D. Roosevelt, he says, in politics, nothing happens by accident. If it happens, you can bet it was planned that way. And you may ask, what does politics have to do with the weather? A lot of things. When it comes to governing countries and moving the chess pieces on the board, they use that, they weaponize it, and they use that to control other countries. And we're going to see a lot of that. Now, I remember in some of my classes before, I've always talked about the picture on the bottom. See this guy down here with the vat? It looks like a little glass box. And I remember personally myself witnessing this, taking the hot and cold chemical like metal things that they had, and you have the water, you have the air, and when you combine certain things together, it makes these little tornadoes, little hurricanes, and they can figure out by taking the sound and taking different types of chemicals and moving it around. And by practicing these little things, they can put it on a bigger scale, and we're going to see that. And you remember last Shabbat, Rebbe, that you put on the sound and the water, how the sound controls the water. And I did something like that before. The frequencies. Okay, we're going to see all of that. So the first question that I said that we're going to ask was, can mankind manipulate the weather to control it? This is the first question. So we're going to get into it now and get some understanding. So let's look at a few words and compare them by definition first. Let's see if these words add up to some form of control, because they love to play the word game and use big words and use small words and try to flip it around and confuse people if you're not paying attention. Like they'll say in one clip over here, we don't control anything. In another clip that says, we only try to manipulate. Or we would modify this to get this effect. They use words like this. So let's look at these three important words here. The word manipulate, what does that, read that for me, Brother Zephaniah.
Manipulate. The first definition says handle or control, a tool, mechanism, etc. Oh, my bad.
Etc.
Etc. Typically in a skillful manner.
Number two.
It says control or influence a person or situation cleverly, unfairly, or scrupulously. Huh. Yeah.
Okay, so handle or control. I highlighted the part there so you can see for yourself. Manipulate means to handle or what? Control. The second meaning is to what? Control or influence. And again, you see the word cleverly, crafty counsel, Mishpachah. The word exploit. I highlighted that and put it there in big so you can see it, because these words all connect together. And you see the little hand dangling like this right here to manipulate something. They have their strings in these storms. They know exactly what they're doing. And this is not conspiracy. I'm going to prove all of this tonight. Modify, the word modify. Read that for me. Make.
It says make partial or minor changes to something, typically so as to improve it or to make it less extreme.
So they take it and they can change it, whether it's a big change or small change, make improvements according to what they say to make it less to make it less extreme. That's what they will tell you, right? Now look at this picture right here. This big ball look like a soccer ball. Does anyone know what this is? In the chat. Let me see. Anyone know what that is in the chat? You must say it look like a ball. Okay. A sun.
You want to know what that is? Is that the question?
Yeah, anyone can answer.
Yeah, it's a radar or something like that.
Okay, it's a type of radar. And I'll explain what that does in a few minutes. But it is a sound radar. This is what it does. It gives out various frequencies, bursts of energy, and it does some really interesting things.
Brother Shay, don't they have one of those in Smyrna, Georgia?
Yeah. Matter of fact, they're
I've seen one of those in Cobb.
They have them all over the place. Every state has several of them. They just have them in different places strategically. They put these in various places. The one up here is a older model that they have of this newer one here. Okay. Now I highlighted the word adapt, because when you take something and you adapt something to it, you're making those changes. And we're going to see how that ties into the next word, okay? The next word is weaponize. Look at that beautiful storm right there, Mishpachah. Looking out from space, this is the picture from the satellite that they put up there, that you can look down and you can see the turbulence of how these clouds are formed. And they call this a hurricane. Read that for me, Brother Zephaniah, number 1 and number 2.
Number 1 says adapt for use as a weapon. Number 2 says exploit for the purpose of attacking, a person or group, or for spreading discord.
So, adapt for use of a weapon. You see how the word ties in there, Mishpachah? Let's go back a minute. Remember, it was exploit. We see adapt. We see exploit here again, and we see adapt. So you see how these words connect. So when they're telling you one word, they're telling you the same thing, Mishpachah. It's just the way how they cleverly communicate amongst each other. So you, the person who just are not informal with the lingo, you think it's just something else. But they use these as what? Weapons. They exploit. What does exploitation mean? Anyone can tell me in the chat or here. Anyone can tell me. What does exploitation means? Go ahead. You say.
Kind of used to kind of ring out, to use to your advantage.
To use to your advantage. That's basically what it's saying. So you're taking advantage of the situation. That's correct. So exploit for the purpose of attacking a person or group. Now who this group is now? Again, you may say, what does Israel have to do with all this? We shall see. And lastly, it says for spreading discord. Isn't that what the enemy, is that what our scroll says? The enemy is there to spread discord amongst our peoples. Now, Rebbe sent me something. I'm going to pull this up real quick so we could look at it. Give me 1 second, Mishpachah.
Yeah, this is this is some serious business, family. I'm just scanning through it right now and realizing there's so much to unpack in this article here. You need to make it big so everyone can see it, and put the link in the chat so the brethren can go do further research, just to take your time, because I don't think we'll be able to go digest this thing. But what it shows, it shows that there's a history of the United States government, especially with the Department of Defense, messing around with weather modifications, especially with hurricanes.
Yes.
So if you want to read that first sentence right there, the first two sentences.
It says, Project Storm Fury was an attempt to weaken tropical cyclones by flying aircraft into them and seeding them with silver iodide.
Now, before you say something, Rebbe, there are special units called storm trackers or storm chasers. And they go into these storms, like it just says, aircraft that go into the storm, but they're telling you that they're monitoring the storm. But the question is, are they really monitoring the storm? Why would someone want to go into the middle of a storm?
So read the next sentence. We're gonna scan through this real quick because I don't want to take up much of your time. I don't know what you got going on.
I'm going to show a lot of this stuff here too.
Okay, so just read where it says to 1983, Brother Zephaniah.
Sorry. All right, it says the project was run by the United States government from 1962 to 1983.
Okay, so just scroll on down a little bit. Keep going down.
Now, they said to 1983, but that's a lie. The project is still going on.
Okay, so there's a hypothesis. We'll skip that. Just keep going down.
I'm gonna cover all that.
And basically, it's dealing with the eye walls. Then you got Project Cirrus right over here.
Yeah.
Project Cirrus was the first attempt to modify a hurricane. You see that word modify? That means man-made. Okay. You got GE. We bring good things to life. What good things these knuckleheads are bringing to life? GE. Then notice right after that, United States Army Signal Corps, right?
Oh, yeah.
Naval Research, U.S. Air Force. This is military. Okay?
Department of Defense.
So there's a little skepticism, but they kept pushing on. Scroll down just a little bit more. Let me see. Keep going down. Keep going down. Between the projects, you got United States Weather Bureau, National Hurricane Research, and all that stuff, right? Keep going down. Keep going down. All right, here we go. Hold on. Go back up just a little taste right there where it says the seedings. The seedings into Hurricane Esther led to the establishment of Project Storm Fury. Storm Fury, Mishpachah. What a title, right? In 1962, Project Storm Fury.
Character names, Rebbe? Isn't that two character names, Storm and Fury?
Yeah. Was a joint venture of the United States Department of Commerce and the United States Navy. Now they have one called Project Baton. A baton is a stick to beat people over the head.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not making Project Life, Project, Spring Rain, Project Farmland, Project Grow, Project, something that pertains to, we need the rain to help grow crops. Nah, don't move it, Brother Shea. You're going too fast.
Oh, sorry.
Go back, Brother Shea. You go back. I'm not done yet. Right there. Keep it right there for a second. The objective of Project Baton was analysis of the life history of thunderstorms, right?
Mm-hmm.
So look at the title. It says Project Baton sought to expand understanding of storm physics as an aid to weather forecasting, fire prevention. So they want to use to out fire and possibly. So if a fire is burning on a particular forest, right?
Like the one.
How do you get that? How do you get that storm, that thunderstorm, to move from point A to point B?
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
How do you get it to move? So fire prevention and possibly for artificial controlling of what? The weather. So we are not making nothing up. They're telling you that this is part of the plan all along, right? Dr. Helmut Wiekman, and as an employee of the U.S. Army Signal Research and Development Laboratory, and Dr. Paul McCready of Meteorology Research, Inc., were joint leaders of Project Baton team, okay? Mm-hmm. It says here right there, I'm just going to read that part real quick.
Hold on 1 second. Go ahead, you say real quick.
So it just reminded me of I don't know if it was, no, I think it was in Jasher, where as Abraham was growing up, there was a king that would actually, I guess it was
records.
More, huh?
Look at the records.
No, he would try to control the crops by controlling like the amount of ravens that he had. That like he farmed ravens. My bad. So that he can let them go and affect the crops of other nations around him. It just reminded me of that when they, with this Project Baton and everything. Maybe
that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Go ahead, Rebbe.
It says during the 1962 July-August storm season in Flagstaff, Arizona, the scientists selected guinea pig storms. See that? Even the storms, even the clouds are guinea pigs.
Yeah, I mean, they put the pig in everything, and even in the clouds.
And seeded them with chemicals. Y'all see that? So a lot of times you're out there thinking, oh, the rain is coming, and your crops die off because of these knuckle wicked demons.
Mm-hmm. You're saying the rain is coming, and it's not the rain you think, Mishpachah. It is these weaponized stuff that they're bringing, and then you're wondering, I did everything right this year for the garden.
Now let's go to where it says Project Storm Fury begins. Robert Simpson became the first director serving in this capacity until 1965, right? Let's scroll down just a little bit. Let's go down just a little bit more. Okay, let's read from on August 23, 1963. Hurricane Belua, see, they're using biblical terms here, was the site of the next seeding attempt. It had an indistinct eye wall. In addition, mistakes were made as the seedings of silver iodide were dropped in the wrong places. As a consequence, nothing happened. The next day, another attempt was made and the seeders hit the target. The eye wall was observed to fall apart and to be replaced by another eye wall with a larger radius. Now, this says that the sustained winds also fell by 20%. That means that they can control it, right?
Mhm.
All in all, the results of the experiments on Beloa were encouraging but inconclusive, right?
Yeah, and this is where I was saying, in these vats that they have, they test these things out first on small scales with um, the different chemicals, temperatures, and sounds to see how they can move it strategically from one side to the next.
All right, let's read where it says Joanne Simpson. Joanne Simpson became its director beginning in 1965. While out to sea in August of 1965 Atlantic hurricane season, Storm Fury meteorologists decided that Hurricane Betsy was a good candidate for seeding. However, the storm immediately swung towards land, and on September the 1st, the planned flights were canceled. For some reason, the press was not notified that there were no seedings, and several newspapers reported that it had begun. As Betsy passed close to the Bahamas and smashed into southern Florida, the public and Congress thought that seeding was underway and blamed Storm Fury. Y'all see that?
Mm-hmm.
So Congress knew something wasn't right.
But you won't hear about this.
Mm-hmm.
You won't hear about this here.
Let me see what else we can pull up here. Okay. Okay, I think we can probably just move on from there. But if you dig into it, you'll probably find some more gems. I just, off the hip, just try to pull some things here. But I wanted Mishpachah to see that they're saying, a lot of information they don't release to the public.
No.
They don't. And so they will just tell you that we're just doing so-called research. But if you notice,
in the name of
hurricanes
science,
are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And you have deserts that are having heavy rain that never had that before. Places that never had snow is having snow. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are shifting things around for a reason.
And this is why Yeshua says in diverse places, meaning different places that you never even think would happen, these things happen. Climate engineering. Read that for me, Brother Zephaniah.
Climate engineering, or geoengineering, is an umbrella term for both carbon dioxide removal and solar radiation modification. When applied at a planetary scale, however, these two processes have very different characteristics.
So when you look at this picture right down here, this is the inside of how that globe, that sphere that look like a soccer ball, and this stuff has a very high frequency that the radar right here, you see it says non-biological and biological. On the non-biological, you see right here in the first one, it says wind turbine clutter, and how to use the wind turbine to move wind and different things like that. Precipitation, how that affects through the hurricanes, like we just talked about. Biological, we're going to look at that too. Very interesting. Passage migration, mayfly emergence, Mexican free-tailed bat cave emergence, because a lot of these sound waves, Mishpachah, affects the life that is on Earth. You see, it says on a planetary scale. That means it's worldwide. It's not just in America. They're doing this all over the globe. Now we're going to talk about cloud seeding for a second. Cloud seeding. Read that for me.
Cloud seeding is a weather modification technique that changes a cloud's ability to produce rain or snow.
Cloud seeding is a weather modification technique that changes a cloud's ability to produce rain or snow. This is how it looks. There are various sizes, but this is the basic makeup of how this contraption looks. When they apply it to the wings of the planes, If you Google it, you'll see it looks just like that. It comes in different colors and whatnot. But this contraption sprays out the different chemical concoctions that they have. And we're going to see what is in those concoctions, okay? So here's an example of the goal of a winter orographic cloud seeding. Basically is to increase snowpack and subsequent stream flow. So they want to go up to the mountains and spray this stuff so you have more snowfall in the mountains. So later on, you'll have more water trickle down to the streams below. Now, in theory, that sounds all good. Yeah, we want to have more water and stuff. But Mishpachah, are they doing things in a righteous way?
Is it natural for rain to contain silver iodide?
No, we're gonna see that. Nope.
So that's not natural.
Mm-mm.
You know, Rebbe, I was actually looking into that because silver is the highest conductive metal, like, you know, as far as electricity is concerned. So, and then like iodide was just a negatively charged form of iodine, right? And isn't iodine used to heal or just as a numbing agent?
It has different properties from it, and you can get different forms of iodine. You can get it from the earth itself. You can get it from animals.
Right. I don't know. Just seeming that that negative side of that would be very unhealthy for the
It is. And as a matter of fact, let me post this link in the chat. Let me show you what exposure to that silver iodine does. Let me see if you can post that right here to everyone. Let me show you what it does to and I saw this guy.
Okay, before I pull it up there, go ahead. See what you're saying.
Yeah, there was a guy who had blue skin. That's if you pull that up so people can see it real quick, not too long, just
okay.
See this nonsense in the chat. I posted it in the chat. This is what happens when you're exposed to this. Yeah, you get the Papa Smurf effect. See right there?
Yeah.
That's from silver iodide.
Mm-hmm.
You turn blue.
Yeah, because he had a direct exposure of it over a long period of time. And again, these are test subjects. So they won't tell you exactly what happened to this guy. They'll just somebody put a picture there and they'll tell you this is linked to this or this may happen. But I'm sure he's one of them test subjects. Okay, let me go back here. And real quick, you see it says number 1, clouds, airflow over the mountain forming a cloud that may contain super cool liquid water. Okay, number 2, release silver iodide particles are released by an aircraft or ground-based generator. Remember the ground-based generator I showed you guys? Let me go back. This is a ground-based generator. And then on the aircraft, you have the same thing, which is the one by the wings. And to disperse these little dots here. Dispersion, silver iodine or iodes particles reach the targeted clouds. So they put it into the clouds. Number 4, ice. The silver iodide forms ice crystals. So it compacts together, and we're going to go into the definition here in a minute. And now it creates snow. So the snow crystals grow at the expense of super cool water and become large enough to fall from the cloud and create snow. So that's the cycle that they put there. You can go on, there's many videos on that you can check on YouTube. Now, what is cloud seeding and who's responsible? So read that for me, Brother Zephaniah.
Is cloud seeding artificial rain? Cloud seeding creates artificial rain by injecting substances such as silver iodide, potassium iodide, and dry ice, which is solid carbon dioxide, liquid propane, or salt into clouds in order to induce precipitation.
So they put this concoction together. That's the basic remedy for it, or the basic makeup of it. Now they're using a little more advanced stuff, which includes nanotechnology, and we're going to talk about that a little later on. Okay. Now,
before you continue real quick, Brother Shay, people may say, well, you find the news or even the authorities may say we're not doing this thing. But when you add something to clouds, that is by default modification, because the clouds are not naturally that way. You add a whole bunch of stuff. You artificially inseminate the clouds. You allow aircrafts or balloons or whatever rockets to drop something into the clouds. That is by definition modification, weather modification. So they may say, "Oh, we're not causing the thing to move here or there." It doesn't make a difference. As long as you added something to it, you're modifying. Because if I have a blank piece of paper and I scratch something on it, I'm modifying the paper.
Yep.
If I move a tree from here to there, I'm modifying. No matter what as long as a human was involved in putting something where it wasn't before, that's modification. Yes. And I think that I have enough sense from school that these Gentiles operate for me to use what they taught me in school to have something called sense. That I can show them what modification really means.
Some people don't even have sense or pennies. They don't have none of that. Now, in the chat, a question was asked. It says, is that chemtrails? Yes. This is what chemtrails are. This is what we've been talking about. Every time we look for the new moon, they're spraying the skies. This is what we're referring to. And that is also called adulteration, Brother Akinya. Correct. So Natasha says witchcraft. That's true. And Brother Barry, you said that CNN says weather modification is fake news. And that is what they're pushing right now, is the agenda of fake news. They're talking about misinformation. If you notice, that's something that has been flowing very big for the past year, and actually I should say from the time COVID happened till now, they've been pushing this narrative of misinformation. How is it misinformation when you have the evidence right in front of you? It's all a game they're playing, Mishpaka. All right, Brother Zephaniah, read that for me. Who is responsible for cloud seeding?
Who performs cloud seeding operations? On most U.S. programs, a company specializing in cloud seeding is hired to conduct seeding operations. Other programs are conducted by universities, private companies, or even local weather modification or water management entities.
So weather modifications, and see, they tell you no on one side, but then they tell you yes on the other side. So it says, who performs cloud seeding operations? On most U.S. programs, a company specializing in cloud seeding is hired to conduct seeding operations. Now, they do this here so their hands can be clean. So they can say, we're not doing anything. I don't know what you're talking about. So they'll hire these private companies, and then they put it in the universities as under the disguise of science and testing. That's what they do these things for. And then even your local weather modification or water management entities, because you got to drink the water. And another form of that is now, like we said in California, they're bringing poop water to you so you can drink. I'm gonna pull this other thing up that the Rebbe put here. This is a picture, another picture example. Ex-researchers say U.S. seeded clouds over Cuba. This is what he was talking about earlier. And if you want, did you put it in the chat already too? You're on mute.
Okay, yeah. No, I didn't post it in the chat, but let's read that. Go back to the article. It's very, very important for me to cover that. Just make it a little bit bigger so one can see it. All right, let me go ahead and read that. This is Geoengineering Monitor. Ex-researchers say U.S. seeded clouds over Cuba. It says the United States secretly used seeding to dry up the Cuban sugar crop in 1969 and 1970, to dry it up. Lowell Ponte, a former Pentagon think tank researcher, said yesterday. Ponte.
Okay, hold on. Pause a minute. Remember in previous classes, I talk about these think tanks, how they would sit down and you would put together these plans. The question I posed earlier is, does this affect you as an Israelite, your family, your communities, your food, etc.? You see what they're doing here, right? Continue.
Okay. Ponte, former specialist of the International Research and Technology Corps, said the CIA and the Pentagon seeded clouds in wind currents to carry rains to Cuba. Between 1966 and 72, the CIA and later the Pentagon were using cloud seeding to make enemy trails muddy in Southeast Asia, Ponte said in an interview for National Public Radio. Now, I was reading something earlier where they were actually in the Vietnam War, were using this to cause a lot of problems over there for the Viet Cong, right? Now, it continues to say, quote, but the seeding near Cuba was to cause less rain, not more. It was supposed to squeeze rain out of the clouds before they reached the island. You might say we tried to embargo rain clouds. Embargo rain clouds, unquote.
And you wonder why you have droughts in certain places, Mishpachah.
Droughts. The experimental seeding was stepped up in 1970, Ponte said, because Cuban Premier Fidel Castro staked the honor of his communist government on the success of that year's sugar crop. So Cuba was dependent on this huge yield of crops. And you got spies everywhere. They're watching to see the success, right? And so what did they do? Hey, headquarters, we got to do something, because if Cuba get all this sugar in, and sugar is very important, sugar is in chocolate, sugar is in everything, we got to shut this down, right?
And not only in Cuba, because you have a lot of our people who have farms or had farms. How you think these big companies like Monsanto and stuff
competition
mess things up? They use these same programs as weaponized to get against you who are trying to do things in a natural way.
And I'm sure if you research it, you might find that most Monsanto's probably giving some shekels.
Contributing, yep.
To control things. Well, let's read on. Castro set a harvest goal of 19 million tons of sugar, Ponte said. The CIA decided after Castro's promises that failure would demoralize his people and make Cuban communism appear a failure. The cloud seeding brought erratic weather in Cuba, and the sugar harvest fell short of its goal. Castro offered to resign but remain in office, Ponte said. Weather science is too primitive to say that cloud seeding hurt Cuba's harvest, Ponte said, but it could have. The point is that our government secretly attempted to tamper with weather in another nation with which we were not at war in an effort to cause economic and political harm. Scroll down.
There you go.
Keep on down. Ponte, author of The Cooling, a book dealing with climatic change and manipulation of weather for political reasons, said the cloud seeding near Cuba was to provide information for a Pentagon project called Nile Blue. The secret project, he said, has studied ways to melt polar ice caps. Wait a minute.
That's what they're talking about, global warming.
That's right.
I see everything, Mishpachah. Once you, and trust me, there's more. This is just a little bit that we are pulling out. Okay, there's so much more. Go ahead.
Let me read it again. The secret project, he said, has studied ways to melt polar ice caps, direct hurricanes and tornadoes as weapons, and to destabilize weather in the Soviet Union. Why all of a sudden Russia got a bunch of forest fires breaking out and tornadoes? We've been watching a lot of tornadoes happen over there where it never happened before. China and Cuba to ruin harvests. The Pentagon and CIA study was aimed at increasing America's food weapon. The political use of food sales in much the same way as the Arab nations use oil, he said, I'm going to stop. That's
It's
it.
a competition.
That's it.
Now, they use the drones now to deliver these same things and tactics. But definitely wants something real quick. I have a lot to cover.
No, I was just saying.
Go ahead.
It really does. The fact that it's like in regards to when it said Nile blue, I just thought it was wild because with the Nile how polluted it is, they were trying to pollute Cuba, and from what I understand, Cuba's borders are pretty strict. They're pretty well governed as their own, right?
Yeah, when you look into Cuba, I have a video. I gotta look for it that I downloaded years ago, and it's hard to find that video. I'm gonna find it where the Castro is talking and was spilling the beans and telling the people was loving him. In the U.S., the propaganda was different. The same thing they did with over there in Venezuela, they did over there with in Saudi Arabia. What's his name? When in the name of weapons of mass destruction. What's his name again?
Hussein?
Yeah, Saddam. Yeah, and a bunch of these other things. They don't understand that they were setting things up strategically to gain power. Again, all of this is for world power, and we're going to see. Let's move on. So what are the effects of cloud seeding, and is it harmful? We saw the picture with the blue Papa Smurf guy. Let's read this one for me.
Pollution. As artificial rain falls, seeding agents like silver iodide, dry ice, or salt will also fall. Residual silver discovered in places near cloud seeding projects is considered toxic.
It's considered what?
Toxic.
Okay.
As for dry ice, it can also be a source of greenhouse gas that contributes to global warming.
It contributes to global warming.
As it is basically carbon dioxide. And actually, this is what I was mainly gonna say, was the fact that like all of this, the chaos that's going on in the environment is mainly caused by man-made things.
Yeah, everything is basically caused by man-made things.
But it's reassuring as well to know that it's very limited in its time. It has an expiration date.
That's right. So when they talk about they're gonna put the stuff in the clouds over the mountains to create the snow to come down to the water, all they're doing is just poisoning the earth. The next one says, what are the negative effects of cloud seeding? Read that one for me.
This can lead to health problems for humans, such as respiratory issues.
Respiratory issues, so you can't breathe good.
Skin irritation.
You turn blue.
And gastrointestinal problems.
Your intestines start to fall apart.
Furthermore, cloud seeding has been blamed for natural disasters like floods, tsunamis, droughts, earthquakes, tornadoes, plagues, and famines, which can cause serious harm to human health.
Now, the list is right here, Mishpachah. April 25th, 2023. This is from Environmental and Health Concerns of Cloud Seeding via LinkedIn. So they're telling you that cloud seeding is blamed. It says has been blamed, but it is blamed for what? Natural disasters. So under the guise of natural disasters, floods, tsunamis. A tsunami is when the water comes over from the ocean and covers the land. And how they do that is very interesting. Again, in those little vats, heating up the water at certain times causes the water to react violently. Remember, Rebbe showed the video with the sound and the waves. That's how they mess with these things. Drought. We just showed you where they was messing with Cuba. That's just one example. Earthquakes. I got a video that we're gonna have to watch just now, Mishpachah, at the end. I have all the good juicy stuff there, so just bear with me. Tornadoes. There was 30-something tornadoes that was discovered in this last storm, Milton. Think about that. Plagues, because after this, you have all the flies and everything. And I have a let me pull this up real quick. Say something a minute, Reb. Let me pull this up.
All right. I'm just looking at the Drudge report, and a lot of the meteorologists, according to what they're saying, it says U.S. meteorologists face death threats as hurricane conspiracies surge.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, a lot of people are starting to have their eyes open to realize that a lot of things just seems odd how these hurricanes, category 6 hurricanes being mentioned, and category 5s, like things just not normal anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're looking at these people. I mean, the meteorologists not the ones who mess around with the hurricane. They just report per se, right?
Yep.
But so they're trying to say that how these things are just conspiracies, they're not real, whatever the case may be. But family, listen, we're living a time right now that they are admitting a lot of things are happening.
Yep.
And
I'm ready.
we either believe what remember, these are scientists. These are the real brilliant minds that the government has produced, and they work for the government, and then they write reports, showcasing, because they're always proud to bring out their reports and show how successful they were to change. And they got their white papers, their black papers, their yellow paper, whatever kind of papers that they put out, right? With their theories and different things, and they're so happy about this stuff, right? Pride, they boast.
Yep.
So if they are saying these things, and we are looking at what they're saying, how is that a conspiracy?
Can't be a conspiracy. We have all the evidence before us, so there's no reason to say this is a conspiracy or something crazy. Now, Kiefer sent me this video. I'm just going to play a quick little bit of it because we have a lot to cover. This is
15 million screwworm flies from planes onto Panama. These are not ordinary insects. They cripple and kill livestock. They can even infect humans. And in the USA, there are entire factories where these flies are bred. But most importantly, the governments of other countries are not at all opposed to having flies dropped on them. Or maybe they're afraid to speak up, or are unaware of all this. What's going on, and what's the point of it? Here's an unobtrusive reminder to hit the like.
I'm going to pause it there. I just wanted to show. I'm going to put the link in the chat so you guys can take a look at it. But when you go back, pull this for a minute. When you go back over here, and it says right here, plagues. This is an example that we have here. Let me put this in the chat real quick. This is an example of what the plagues are, because with these storms come a lot of different things. Famine, which can cause serious harm to human health. All right, let's look at the next slide here now. So this is that big ball I was talking about. It's called audio radar. There's some other names for it too.
Well, hold on, Brother Shay. Hold on. The video Keith gave you, that's people dropping flies from airplanes?
Yes.
Flies?
Yes.
And what's the reason for that?
As far as a weapon of war, so they can disrupt the crops, kill off the animals, and so forth. It's another method, a weaponized form of using insects. Wicked. So think about that.
That's wicked.
Yes. All right, go ahead. Read that for me, Brother Zephaniah.
As the name implies, radars use pressurized sound waves by energized blast and velocity to its target.
So these radars use a pressurized sound. So when you look, there's a lot of power that's being drawn from these towers right here that send out a blast at a specific target. Continue.
A radar system usually consists of a transmitter to send out radio sound signals and a generator to boost the energy and pressure.
So they have these big generators that pull this power to funnel this energy of sound to a target. That's basically what this is saying right here. And you see how it look? When you get a chance and you drive around the country or wherever you are, look and see if you see these things. And some of them look like cell towers too, okay? Read that for me.
The use of radars, heaters, and coolers also contribute to warming and cooling of water temperature underwater.
So in the ocean, they have these big chillers. So let me bring it on a smaller scale for you. Who has fish tanks? Whoever had a fish tank, saltwater fish tank or freshwater, doesn't matter. And you have a water heater. And then for some tanks, you need to have a chiller because the water has to be a certain temperature for that species to live in. So on a bigger scale, you have something called coolers or chillers that they put into the ocean, and power is given to it and it cools that water to a certain degree, or they have a heater that does the opposite to it. So this also contributes to the warming and cooling of the water temperature under the water. Continue. Which is?
The question is, are they using it for that purpose?
Well, which is controlled to so-called help decrease global warming. Because that's what they're going to say. In the name of global warming, we are going to try to help decrease it. But as we just read in some articles and saw in some pictures and stuff, that is the opposite. They're actually contributing to melting the polar ice caps. We saw that, right? And some other things. I'll read the next one.
Nanotechnology is a big part to the programming of particles to help move water molecules and other components to help control the movement of clouds, water, and the temperature. So
nanotechnology, if you didn't know what that is, when you get a chance, look it up. But the definition is right down here. Can you read that for me?
Nanotechnology refers to the branch of science and engineering devoted to designing, producing, and using structures, devices, and systems by manipulating atoms and molecules at nanoscale.
By manipulating from a molecular size, Mishpachah. So from the smallest atom, they want to get down into the DNA and change. This is where CRISPR comes in. So you want to know how all this ties in together? The food, the medicine, and the weather, how all this puts together? These labs that they call science labs basically have people that sit back and have crafty counsels on how to strategically take over countries and get where they really want to get, the one world system. We're going to see that at the end coming up. But you see an example of the manipulation right here, the little tiny nano, small programmable robots or computers that can go into your cells and cause it to either break down or build up or whatever it is that they're trying to do from a cellular level, okay? This is what they're doing. Real quick. Go ahead, real quick.
Oh, sorry. No, well, it's wild because you could just see the bigger picture in regards to it too. Like they're trying to go down to the molecular level. Like depending on in chemistry, like the element that in the periodic table, it's differentiated. My bad. I'm trying to go quick. By the number of protons it has in its nucleus.
Right.
And protons are positively charged, parts of the atoms.
Yep.
So it just seems like especially with the silver iodide, they're trying to impact all this stuff and negatively charge a lot of these things. And it just ruins the balance. And like in electrical units, when there's an off balance between the negative and positive, that causes a ground fault.
That can cause a fire too.
Right.
So basically things that are unbalanced is what they're doing, and this is called manipulation. Okay, what is geoengineering? Let's look at this here. So the first use of the term geoengineering in approximately the sense defined above was by Marietti in the early 1970s. So this term came about in the 1970s, but it was always there. They just make up the term recently. So read that for me. What is an example of geoengineering?
Geoengineering schemes that could increase the reflectance of incoming solar radiation include raising ground level albedo, injecting sulfur particles into the stratosphere, whitening marine clouds, and delivering millions of tiny orbital mirrors or sunshades into space.
So they can put things that can reflect the light and alter the temperature and cause the different movements of, you have the atmosphere, stratosphere, all these different spheres that goes up and down until you can get into the blackness of space where the satellites all are. You have all types of crazy things that these people are messing with just to achieve the one goal that they're trying to, which is have a one world government. And we're going to see that. So what effect does sound have over water in any form? Remember we talked about the video Rebbe showed. So what sound frequencies do birds hate? Let's look at this here. Very interesting. Read that for me.
The ultrasonic frequency range 15 to 25 kilohertz is known to be disturbing to birds, and a device operating at that range was developed.
So they created a device to operate at that megahertz or that ultrasound frequency to disrupt the birds, mess with the birds basically, okay? So you ever wonder why these birds falling? I'll show you some stuff in a minute. Go ahead, continue reading.
The output of the integral oscillator was fed to 4 piezo transducers placed 90O to each other to produce a dispersion of overlapping fans of sound for full 360-degree coverage.
So if you ever dealt with sound, Mishpachah, there's a device called oscillator, and it has these little wavelengths on it, and you can read the frequency of sound itself when they're making different music and things. If you ever did engineering in music, some of you may know this stuff too. If you have ever had any type of science experiments in school, you can sometimes get to learn about these things. But they use this to kind of see what frequency would disrupt what certain types of animals. Did you know that they even use this as a tool in law enforcement to also disrupt crowds? Where, see this guy right here, this is on a naval ship right here. This picture right here with this guy, that instrument in front of him is a frequency machine that gives out a burst of sound, and that can stun a person, or that can call, depends on the frequency, it can breach in the side of a ship when it is focused as a weapon. So when you get a chance, look into that too, because that is how they deal with a lot of the different vibrations and things to deal with controlling the control. So what does 430 hertz do to water? We saw the video that Rebbe played. I'm not going to play that again, but it changes the arrangement of it. It makes the formation move, okay? Fish and birds, Genesis chapter 1 and verse 20. Read that for me.
And Elohim said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven.
Thank you, Brother Miles. It's called LRAD. That's correct. I couldn't remember the name of it. And the military uses it, in the Navy, Coast Guard, even the Army, Marine. Different units use it for different things, but even in the local law enforcement in big cities, they have this particular device. And the fish and the birds, Mishpachah, are affected. Genesis 1:20, this is where the Most High, the birds come via where the fish came from. So this is why we only always see birds falling and fish floating. Did anyone see that, or is it only me seeing that? Do we see thousands of birds just fall from the sky, or 100,000s of fish just float up from the water all of a sudden, and nobody can figure it out? Like,
yeah, that's an attack on the fifth day.
Read that for me, Brother Zephaniah. As we know,
the birds are connected to the fish, and as we read in Genesis 1:20, well, as we read in Genesis 1:20, this is why we see the death of thousands of fish and birds at a time, either dropping out of the sky or floating top to the shore. These devices that emit pressured sound waves at various frequencies disrupt and kill them due to the moving of water molecules within the body, the air and water surrounding. I can't see the bottom.
Hold on 1 second, Mishpaka. Speaker vibrating. Okay.
The last few words I can't see.
It says surrounding them. That's what it says at the end. All right, so let's look at something here. What effect does this have on the water in any form? Do you see the pictures of the birds here on the sidewalks and the fish on the water? Read that for me. Harmful effects of underwater sound on fish.
The acoustic impedance of aquatic animals nearly matches that of water. Consequently, most of the sound energy from an underwater source will enter and interact with their bodies. Very intense sounds may even stun or kill fish.
So they know that when they project this sound, it will stun or even kill the fish because it messes with the way how the body operates under the water. Skip down to the highlighted part down there.
It says, available data indicate, however, that fish may suffer internal morphological and physiological damage.
So they will change their body shape sometimes. You see these fishes that look kind of weird or whatever it is. Like, why does fish have, three fins or 5 tails or something like that? Go ahead.
As well as apparent physical damage when exposed to sufficient sound pressure levels for relatively short periods of time.
So this is all an experiment. And they will say, oh, we don't know what happened. But these companies out there are doing this, Mishpaka. How many of you seen the movie Aquaman? When he's talking to the fish and doing all the different sound and call the fish. Echo, sitting there with bats and a certain thing, echo location.
Yeah.
They
I
know
want
what
to say
they're
something
doing.
real quick.
Go ahead.
You mentioned that a lot of times people are wondering what happens to these fish, and scientists already know. You have the proof right in front here that we all can see. This is back in October 1st, 1991. And I'm sure much more research has revealed. It makes it very hard for us to really love a certain type of people. I'm sorry to sound like that. It really makes it difficult because it seems like out of all the nations of the earth that the Most High made, the 70 nations from the book of Genesis, I think it's chapter 9 or something like that, right? That the Most High set these families up. They seem to be only a group within that whole mix that just for some reason, they hate the Most High so much. They don't like the way the Most High made anything. They want to make the tomato more red than it's supposed to be. They don't like the little green, the little yellow parts in tomato. When we look at it, it's like, oh, that's a beautiful fruit. No, they want it to be exactly red. A tomato is supposed to be by default red. Orange is supposed to be completely orange. That little greenish, orange, whatever. It's
the
like
randomness of it, they don't like.
They hate things that are natural.
Yeah.
They look at us and say we got big lips and big nose, but then when you see their women, the women got Daffy Duck lips.
Because they do implants.
Got Daffy Duck lips, like quackers. And what's her name? Versace, the wife? And they think that they're so beautiful. It's like, what's wrong with these people? And it's when you see what has happened to the earth, the sky, everything else, and you sit down and says, Father, please. It's hard for you to say, love your neighbors, just like Jesus loved the little children, all that stuff. You just take that and roll it up and just throw it out because it's painful to see what's going on to this beautiful earth. The earth is beautiful. Where else are we going to go?
According to them, they're trying to go to the dark. Into the darkness is where they want to go, the cold dark. All right, I'm answering the second question now. Why would they want to control the weather? Because remember, we looked at can they control the weather? We answered that question, yes. And I have more proof after this to show you. But the question now is, why would they want to control the weather? In simple answer, read that for me.
Man wants to control everything. He would control Elohim if he could.
So even if they could, they would be telling the Most High what to do. Continue.
However, this is all part of the agenda to bring the new world government. The weather is used as a weapon, acting like God, to control nations and countries.
So this is the simple explanation, Mishpachah. How does this have to do anything with Israel? Again, the one world government is coming into play, and this is one of the ways that they do these things. We have more examples to come. Let's move on. He who controls the weather will control the world. This is a direct quote from this vice president or ex-vice president, Lyndon Johnson, May 1962. Wasn't it around
I
the
think
time?
you made a mistake in the way you pronounce the thing.
Ex-vice
Vice.
president?
Yeah,
Oh,
that word vice.
Uh-huh.
Okay, vice. That's the word you got to emphasize. And you know, vice is not a good thing.
Mm-mm.
Okay, vice. It's wicked. Okay.
Yep. Isn't it around the same time that we was talking about these storm fury and things coming out? Very interesting.
Yep.
Daniel chapter 2 verse 21. Read that for me.
And he changeth the times and the seasons.
The word seasons, Mishpachah, deals directly with weather because the moon and the stars and the sun, they control the weather naturally. The Most High put them there to alter the seasons. How do you have seasons if it's not hot, cold, rainy, dark, bright, etc.? Think about that, okay? So the prophecy is telling us that the governments of that are in power, which are under the influence of these fallen angels, will change the times and the weather, basically. Continue.
He removeth kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding.
Okay. So let's continue. Climate change. So in the name of climate change or global warming, definition of climate change from the United Nations, read that.
Climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. These shifts may be natural, but since the 1800s, human activities have been the main driver of climate change, primarily due to the burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas, which produces heat-trapping gases.
Now look how they word this. These shifts may be natural, but since the 1800s, human activities. You see how to put it? Now I ask myself, what do they mean by human activities? Let's see what it says from Wikipedia. Read that for me.
Human activities are the various actions for recreation, living, or necessity done by people. For instance, it includes leisure.
So hanging out at the park or the beach. Go ahead.
Entertainment.
Sports and different racing and whatever they want to do.
Manufacturing.
Building infrastructure, robots and all these different things.
Recreation. War and exercise.
War and exercise. Now the word exercise is not talking about going to the gym. It's talking about these different tests that they've run. For example, we just saw the Cuba thing that Rabbi pulled up. That was a test. Storm Fury, going into these storms, these hurricanes, to see how they can put the chemicals within the storm wall to see if they can manipulate it and move it around. These are called exercises. And after the exercises and they practice real good, then they create warfare, which is called war. And we see to the top up here, war and exercise. What does weather warfare say there for me, Chris? Read that for me.
Weather warfare is the use of weather modification techniques such as cloud seeding for military purposes.
Cloud seeding for military purposes. It's right there, Mishpachah. Wikipedia. It's not what I'm saying. I'm reading. So no one can go after this class and say this is misinformation. We are reading and sourcing everything that we're seeing. Okay, we're going to move forward because I got some videos I want to play. So the conversation, this is a place that has, this is a site that has some real good stuff. And it says in the future, we could snuff out cyclones. Cyclones is just another name for hurricanes from the other side of the world. Okay? But weather control comes with new risks. So they're telling you the future. So when you ask the question, the future, so what about the past? If they're talking about the future, what about the past? And the so-called president, I don't know if he's alive or not. I have a video I'm gonna play later on. He's saying the government does not control the weather. And he says this is ridiculous. This is word for word. You'll see it for yourself when I play it. He's saying this is ridiculous. Okay? All right. Can't make this stuff up, Mishpachah. This is exactly what we see happening here presently. Can't make this stuff up. All right. This is an operation that happened. It's called Operation Popeye. Okay? Read the down here. During the Vietnam War.
During the Vietnam War, the U.S. conducted Operation Popeye, a cloud seeding mission designed to stimulate rainfall and extend the monsoon season in Vietnam. After the operation was declassified in 1974, the United Nations banned the weaponization of weather.
That's what they say. We're going to stop using it, but that's a lie, Mishpachah. They always say they're going to stop using it, and they never do. What they do is they change it, repackage it, call it a different name, give it to a different company, and now it's in the name of research. Yes, Ema, hold on. Yes, Ema.
Shalom, brethren.
Shalom.
I think it is in World War One or two that they say when Hitler was marching to go to, I don't know, one of France or something, but he was marching, he went all the way around. But there was a point when they said the weather was so bad because they sent snow down, and a lot of the troops was frozen.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if that they did see it in at that time.
I don't doubt it.
To stop the war, and that is what stopped the war from going further.
I guarantee if you dig up some things, you might find that out. Go ahead, Rebbe.
I was going to say real quick, how can they stop or ban weaponization of weather when they say it doesn't even exist? When they say that stuff don't exist, like you showed the Biden piece there, right?
That's
you
the
have
point.
people denying something that. How do you deny something that don't exist?
They say it's
like you're going to ban something that doesn't exist. How do you do that?
They say it's misinformation. That's the term. Again, it's all wordplay they love to use. Go ahead.
And then not only that, it's like this has been something like 1974 is a long time, just like the moon landing.
The so-called moon landing.
Yeah, the so-called moon landing, right? But all this time, they've had time to develop so much more, and so much has been open to the public that's been, it's obvious that they could have something like this. And even like when you break down, even ionization of molecules, like it's basic things like paint sprayers use that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
go ahead and read that for me there. The United States.
The United States Air Force engaged in many hostile geoengineering missions.
So they're telling you that they have been in many missions. Go ahead.
However, one of them, which was declassified.
That's what they say. They declassified because they got caught. Go ahead.
As Operation Popeye. The U.S. flied more than 2,600 cloud seeding sorties over North and South Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia, as part of a covert effort to win the war.
So basically, they want to flood the people out because a lot of them would dig a lot of trenches and hid in the jungles, and they wanted to muck up the roads from supplies getting to these places and cause mudslides and a whole bunch of different things to win the war. So basically, the enemy, or they was fighting against the so-called enemy to win this war. And when you really dig into it, Mishpachah, it was more going on there. And like Emo's talking about the snow falling during World War I and II, If you look into that, there's even, I think I talked about this before in past time, about the A and B solution, where there was putting poison in the water to try and poison the people. And when they couldn't do that, what they did was they put half of the substance in the water and half in the air. So when it was mixed together, people start dropping like flies. There's so much different things that they were doing. And it's all part of control, okay? The last question. How did they get such information? This is an interesting part, Mishpachah, because I'm going to tie it back into the scriptures now. What is the simplest definition of information? It says knowledge that you get about someone or something. That is what the word information means. It means knowledge that you receive about someone or something. So the question is, who gave them this knowledge? That's the question. Daniel 12 and verse 4, read that for me.
But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased.
So the prophecies say, knowledge shall increase. Information shall increase. Question is, what type of information and what type of knowledge are they getting? Let's see. So let's look at our records to see who's given who information and what is mentioned when it comes to the weather and all the in-betweens, okay? Remember that the devil has his angels who in turn control the other nations. John chapter 8 and verse 44.
Ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do.
So you will do exactly what who you serve, you'll follow exactly what they put out. I serve Elohim, so guess what? I'm going to follow his Torah, his laws. If you don't serve Elohim, you're serving who? Someone else. Continue.
He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own. For he is a liar and the father of it.
He's the father of it. So if you're a father, that means you have what? Children. You have some offspring somewhere. You're a parent. So who's his offspring? Let me pull up Revelations 9 and verse 1 while you read. Go ahead and read Revelations 12 verse 4. Go ahead and read that.
And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her children as soon as it was born.
So his tail drew a third part of the stars. And an example of stars, I have more examples, but I just picked this one real quick. It says, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a what? Star fall from heaven onto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. So the term stars in this reference means an angel. Okay? So when Lucifer or Satan's tail, he took third of the angels with him under his command. These are his children. And mankind who fall under them also become his children, his subjects. Jubilees chapter 15 and verse 30.
And he sanctified it and gathered it from amongst all the children of men. For there are many nations and many peoples, and all are his.
So all mankind belongs to the Most High, but
and over all hath he placed spirits in authority to lead them
astray. So he is taking these spirits that would lead the other nations astray from serving him. This is what is going on. The other nations are following their father, the devil. So when we have to get the understanding, you will understand to see who your enemy is and all these different things, okay? Jubilees chapter 2 and verses 2.
For on the first day he created the heavens which are above, and the earth and the waters, and all the spirits which serve before him.
So the Most High created all the spirits that served before him. Continue.
The angels of the presence, and the angels of sanctification, and the angels of the spirit of fire, and the angels of the spirit of the wind.
So we're going to see what angels are in charge of what parts or what jobs they have, what tasks they are instructed to do. Okay, so we have the spirits of the winds. Continue.
And the angels of the spirit of the clouds.
So there's an angel that control the wind. There's an angel that control the clouds. Go ahead.
And of darkness.
Darkness.
And of snow. And of hail. And of hoarfrost. And the angels of the voices and of the thunder and of the lightning. And the angels of the spirits of cold and of heat. And of winter and of spring. And of autumn and of summer.
So, Mishpachah, there are angels who control these things. Now, it's a balance. And when I do my research and understanding, you have some of these angels that had some of this information. Some of them went on the other side. And with that information, these are where these nations are getting that information from, this knowledge. The Most High has righteous angels that are in charge of a lot of these jobs, and the devil has his angels that were once in charge of these jobs that have that information. Okay, continue reading. The spirits of his creatures.
And of all the spirits of his creatures which are in the heavens and on earth, he created the abysses and the darkness, eventide and night, and the light, dawn and day, which he hath prepared in the knowledge of his heart.
So the Most High instill that information in each of these angels so they can know exactly what to do as a job and a task. But when some of them fell with Lucifer, they took that information and they passed it on to these nations that are on earth, that are in power today, to do the things that they're doing wickedly, to destroy the earth, to have this one world government. And we will see some more of that. Reference the angels teaching mankind. So let me pull up Jubilees chapter 10. Let me pull it up here. Go ahead and read Enoch chapter 8, verse 1.
And Azazel taught mankind to make swords and knives and shields and coats of mail, and taught them to see what was behind them and their works of art, bracelets and ornaments, and the use of rouge and the beautifying of the eyebrows.
So that's why a lot of women today have all these stuff like how Rebbe does with the snuffleupagus, he would say. Go ahead.
And the dearest and choicest stones, and all coloring substances, and the metals of the earth.
So all the different techniques of how to manipulate and master these elements is what this angel brought and gave to the sons of men, these other nations, on how to manipulate and change them. Read Enoch chapter 8, verses 3.
It says, Amazarek taught all the conjurers and root cutters, Armaros, the loosening of conjurations, Barkal, the astrologers, Kokabal or Kokabel, the signs, and Tamil taught astrology, and Azradel taught the course of the moon.
So I'm just showing you that it's recorded because a lot of these angels that you're reading about here are bound right now. When you go back into the scrolls and read the records, a lot of them are bound, but there are only a certain amount that were left out. And these that were left out are today given mankind the continual of the advancement of all this information that they're getting. So when we jump back to Jubilees chapter 10, verses 10 to 4, right here.
And one of us he commanded that we should teach Noah all their medicines, for he knew that they would not walk in uprightness, nor strive in righteousness.
Now, I mentioned this when we was talking about the pharmaceuticals and the vaccines and stuff. We don't have to read it, but I just wanted to show it that the angels, the Most High, gave the records to the angels so they can distribute it to Noah so he can know exactly how to cut this and mix this so we can use the natural herbs to heal our bodies. The same thing that we see over here. Let me go back over here. Where in chapter 8, verses 3, talks about this angel making concoctions by cutting roots and different plants and stuff. So you see right here, the story is fluid. Read over here, Enoch chapter 9 and verses 6 now.
See then what Azazel has done, how he has taught all wickedness on earth, and has revealed the secrets of the world, which were prepared in the heavens.
So everything that they were doing up above, they brought down and taught to mankind how to manipulate, how to control, change, modify, all these different things that go against what Torah is saying. Because at the end of the day, they are trying to take as much souls as possible to the lake. Okay? Revelation chapter 7, verses 1.
And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor any tree.
So John the Revelator was given this vision and told to write it down of exactly what he saw. It's no different to what Enoch saw in his day. Enoch chapter 18 and verse 2.
And I saw the cornerstone of the earth, and I saw the 4 winds which support the earth, and the firmament of the heavens.
So there are angels that are in charge of the winds. So sometimes when you feel these strange winds blowing, is it from a righteous angel or is it from an unrighteous angel? These are the questions we need to start thinking about, because a lot of these things it's not about flesh and blood, but we are dealing with spiritual principalities in high places. And the men of these other nations understand this, but we don't care about it. Who cares? We just want to go about our business, talking about the latest fashion and who's sleeping with who and how much money you have and all the stupidness, versus learning what the scrolls really are showing us. Imagine if you really was in tune like how Enoch was, or Abraham,
Brother
even
Shay,
King David. Yes.
did you do you have Hebrews 1 and 7?
No, let me pull that up.
Okay, because that will help our people to understand how these angels, how they work. Because a lot of times when you mention Enoch, you're gonna find super Hebrews, camp Hebrews, or whatever types that they are. That's gonna try to say Enoch is a bunch of garbage. But let's see what it says. It says, verse 7, and the angels he saith, who maketh his angels spirits, and his ministers a flame of fire.
Mm-hmm.
And fire have to do a lot to do with what is it can come in different forms. Fire can be even as lightning. Okay. So the Bible is letting us know that yes, angels also do certain things. The Bible says in the book of Judges that the angel went up into as fire up into heaven. Remember when Samson was about to be born?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And also a pillar of fire by day and a cloud, a pillar of fire by night and a cloud by day. That's an angel.
Yep. Acts 7. That's Acts 7 and 30.
Do the different jobs.
Acts 7 and 30.
Okay, read Enoch chapter 20 and verses 2.
It says, Uriel, one of the holy angels, the angel of thunder and of trembling.
So I just wanted to reference that to show you that each angel has a job to do. Some control the elements. Some are the variety of the different stars, sun, all these different things. When you really dive into it, the Most High have them for specific jobs, okay? So let's watch some videos because time is ticking, and I have some good videos for us to learn some things and see all what we was talking about tonight, okay? We got 3 videos. They're a little interesting, so let's get to it now. Let's see. All right. First video, fair use for all the videos, but we're just gonna watch it. Go ahead.
fact that Eero Saarinen was in the OSS designing weapon systems during World War II, and at a time when the OSS was looking into ways to weaponize weather, makes his whole connection to the design of the St. Louis Arch extremely interesting.
Thanks to the system of satellite, we can control our weather.
For that, President Biden took time out of his busy day, because his busy sleep schedule, to try to look presidential all of a sudden. And he just moments ago wanted to tell all of you that no, we are not. The federal government is not controlling the weather. And he slammed any of you who think that that's the case. Watch.
Now the claims are getting even more bizarre. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, a congresswoman of Georgia, is now saying the federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather. It's beyond ridiculous. It's got to stop.
Federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather.
We're talking about climate change yesterday, and now we're
So you heard it from his mouth, right? Okay, we'll continue.
learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City
We showed this one before, but I'm just getting warmed up.
College of New York. Professor, nice to see you.
Moments like this, there are no red or blue states. There's one United States of America, where neighbors are helping neighbors. Volunteers and first responders are risking everything, including their own lives, to help their fellow Americans. State, local, and federal officials are standing side by side.
It's called a word salad.
No one should make the American people question whether their governments will be making sure that this is acting when it strikes. They'll be there.
Yeah.
What was that last bit?
No one should make what the government and your share. Did you guys get that?
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
I hope you understand
I
that.
didn't quite understand.
Is the United States government manipulating and even worse, controlling the weather using NEXRAD Doppler radar installations? It sounds like a conspiracy theory until you realize the U.S. government has these installations all over the United States. Watch.
Was Hurricane Helene's path and behavior just the result of natural processes and climate patterns, or was it manipulated? The circular blue flashes seen in this video are frequency transmissions.
So those big sphere balls that we're talking about, what you see here with the blue patterns, that is the locations of where some of these are that are activated. So it's pushing the storm away to where they want it to go. That's what he's saying.
From the NEXRAD network of transmitter installations, all available science evidence makes clear that atmospheric frequency transmissions can and do have a repelling effect on air masses, especially if and when the air masses have been seeded with electrically conductive nanoparticles.
And we showed you the video, Mishpaka, with sound moving the water. So in the air, there is water, moisture particles, and this is how they can move that, okay?
The brighter the blue flash from a frequency transmission installation, the more pronounced and powerful the repelling effect on any air mass or storm in the vicinity will be. Where there are no blue flashes, there is no transmission, thus no repelling effect, thus no resistance for a migrating storm. Translation: a migrating storm will be hindered from moving toward frequency transmissions and will easily migrate in a direction with no transmissions. So again, I ask, was Hurricane Helene's path and behavior just an act of nature, or was it engineered? You decide.
Well, the voice you heard there is Dane Wigington. He is the lead researcher and administrator for the website geoengineeringwatch.org. He's the executive producer of the groundbreaking climate engineering documentary called The Dimming. I encourage all of you to watch it. Dane has devoted the last 20 years of his life to constant research on the...
And this show is called Redacted, so if you get a chance, you can check it out. They have some interesting stuff on it.
The issue of covert global climate engineering operations and the effort to expose and halt these criminals. Dane Wigington joins me now. Dane, great to see you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Clayton. Thank you for your voice in this most dire issue that too few are aware of. And regarding climate engineering, it's not speculation or theory or hypothesis. It's a matter of the historical record.
So he's saying it's not a conspiracy. It's not a hypothesis. It is fact.
Mountains of documents to back up the fact that these programs have been ongoing for decades.
Ongoing for decades. And I think a lot of Americans are like, this sounds like a conspiracy theory. It's absolutely not. You broke a big story this week that lawmakers who were briefed on these weather weapons concluded that what happened in North Carolina, Hurricane Helene, was engineered by the Department of Defense. Can you elaborate on that?
Okay, so that's the first video. All right, let's look at the second one now.
We're talking about climate change yesterday, and now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City College of New York. Professor, nice to see you. Extraordinary seeing Al Gore and Bill Clinton there together with Charlie, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they did not get into this discussion, though. But it is fascinating. I mean, lasers, really, to change the weather?
Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far, it works.
Remember in the definition, it says for human activities, it was war and exercises. This is what you call an exercise event, okay, what he's talking about.
When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning. Go ahead.
Well, this fascinates me in part because, too, I remember reading the stories that China had used this during the Olympics, that the USSR had used this after Chernobyl to create rain clouds. I mean, did those really work then? We have some of these capabilities now?
Inconclusive. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War, to wash out the Viet Cong. Governments have been playing with this thing.
Alleged to.
See how she said alleged to? But we just read it, right? We saw that in Operation Popeye is what he's referring to, and she's saying alleged to because they want to keep people asleep. They want to push the narrative that this is misinformation, okay?
Yeah, hold on a second, brother Shay.
Uh-huh.
Hold on, your camera just went out.
My camera went out? Okay, hold on.
Just adjust it. But before you come back, play it. You'll find that all of these. You'll find that all of these media, if you put like a montage, you put all of them together,
you say the same.
You're gonna see they're saying the same thing. They receive a script from the producer, ABC, CBS, NBC. All of them are basically like a Walmart, a Target, or whatever.
Yeah.
And they shop at the same warehouse, and they all just put their own little label on it. And so you'll find, so when they say alleged, right? Remember, these are supposed to be the people telling us the news separate from government. But for some strange reason, they're always covering. This is why right now in the news, CBS is in hot water for shaping
those interviews.
The interview for the chameleon, right? The Jokeress. Who wears the same outfit as a Joker, same color outfit as a Joker, right? They have been manipulating, doing their little political climate change.
Sister Angela called it the scandemic. All right, let's continue.
Alleged to, right?
Geometry Watch is communicating with congressmen from the Carolinas, from Connecticut, from Tennessee, and they are all very aware of these programs being ongoing and operational. And I want to delineate here this. There's a very marked difference between, quote, weather modification, which many people are familiar with, single engine, propeller driven airplane with a few flares on the wings. That is not this. With climate engineering, we have, for example, a KC-135 military tanker can distribute 100 tons of toxic material into the skies to seed cloud moisture in a single payload.
So he's telling you not only by the planes, but other devices can distribute this stuff by the payload. That's what he's saying, okay?
So they're two very different animals, and the local publicized weather modification operations are simply used as a smokescreen to mask the unimaginably larger climate intervention operations. So, and again, we have, going back decades, congressional documents at geoengineeringwatch.org. One is 800 pages long, outlining the scope and scale of these operations, even going back to the 70s and before, and the intergovernmental cooperation, even between governments with otherwise adversarial relations, is stated as such in this document. Document calls for blanket legal immunity for anyone and everyone involved with these programs. So again, we have film footage of these aircraft at altitude, nozzles visible, turning on and off. This is not condensation we see in our skies. All military tankers and all commercial aircraft are outfitted with a high bypass turbofan jet engine, jet-powered fan. 90% of the air that moves through that engine is not combusted. So we should see, except under rare circumstances, we should see nothing behind these aircraft. And we're just asking people to investigate the data, connect the dots.
So do your own research. So what you're saying is, naturally when planes fly, you shouldn't see anything coming out of a plane. So that's basically what he's saying.
This is absolutely ongoing.
So let's talk about, I want to talk about Helene in a minute here, but right now we've got Hurricane Milton bearing down on Florida and over.
This was a couple days ago, right before. Milton was just, what, a day ago? Thursday that hit Florida. Okay, so this is right before that.
Overnight, we see this small sort of secondary storm now in front of it, almost like a twin storm about to hit Florida. Then overnight, we also saw these massive wildfires breaking out in the Tetons in Wyoming. So, you know, a lot of Americans are so frustrated right now. They're sitting there saying, why would our government do this to us? First of all, let's talk about Milton. Is there any weather modification by the government being used or directing of this storm into Florida from your evidence?
Short answer, yes. And if I could back up to why would our government do this? Why wouldn't they do this when, you know, this has been business as usual for decades? If we look at what the Washington Post published all the way back in 1977, that the U.S. military had conducted no less than 239 open-air biological tests on innocent, unknowing U.S. civilians.
You hear that? Open biological tests on civilians. Now, who were they testing these on back in the 70s? When they just open up and spray stuff on communities. Okay? All right.
That's what we know about going back that far. If we look at the nuclear bomb detonations in Nevada, we have peer-reviewed study now to prove that those detonations eventually caused no less than 500,000 downstream deaths from the.
I wonder why. I wonder if that's why it's Death Valley down there, because of those nukes that went off.
Fallout for U.S. civilians. That's peer-reviewed study. So again, for those that can't imagine that the people who actually control our government, which I would argue is not any elected official, it's those who control the flow of money. This is business as usual, and why wouldn't they do this? Why wouldn't they use weather as a covert weapon of control? If we look all the way back, Clayton, to film footage of Lyndon Johnson in 1962, former U.S. President Lyndon Johnson, 1962, on film, on the record, ranting like a lunatic, stating we had the power to control the world's cloud layer then, 62 years ago, and, quote, he who controls the weather controls the world.
Same thing I said, remember? I showed you the quote. And he's saying the same thing.
Quote, he who controls the weather controls the world.
Bloomfield, Michigan, 1942. As World War II rages across several continents, acclaimed architect and eventual designer of the St. Louis Arch, Eero Saarinen, is secretly enlisted by the United States military to work for a new clandestine organization.
Now notice the date, 1942. Okay, all right.
Its name, the OSS, Office of Strategic Services, or
Crafty
as it is
councils.
known today, the CIA.
We realize that for decades now, these governments have been alleged to have experimented with weather control, but nothing conclusive. This time we're beginning
see how to come back and lie again.
the laws of physics rather than simply waving our hands and uttering mumbo jumbo. We're actually using trillion-watt.
So I pause it there. So the purpose of controlling the weather is what? Agriculture, drought, and floods. We saw the article about Cuba. It's recorded. Commercial, big events and sensitive buildings. So when you have certain things going on, they push these agendas. They're talking about in the Carolinas with the lithium. We're gonna talk about that just now. And then lastly, military.
Lasers now.
Hold up a second. Hold up. Did you hear what the guy says about waving hands?
Yeah, let me go back again.
Just a little tip.
Conclusive. This time we're bringing in the laws of physics rather than simply waving our hands and uttering mumbo jumbo.
See?
We're actually
That's the title of tonight's class. Okay.
Warlocks. When they do the little magic show.
using trillion-watt lasers now. And in the laboratory, sure enough, they precipitate rain out of water vapor. Sure enough, you can actually bring down electricity down the beam.
So what does it mean for drought areas that need to have rain for crops? And if they don't have them, there's the consequences of famine.
Well, the bad news is if it's a clear blue sky, it's not going to do anything at all because it only takes water vapor that's already in the air and condenses it.
So they're telling you if there's a clear blue sky, it can't work, which is not true. Because what they'll do is they'll send and create those things there so it can have it. That's the whole purpose of it.
However, for floods, for agriculture, farmers, for people planning wedding parties, football games, you name it, outdoor events and agriculture and flooding and even hurricanes, all of them could be subject to weather modification.
See, at the end, he slipped that in, even hurricanes.
Incredibly interesting, Professor Michio Kaku. Thank you so much.
During a pivotal time in the Vietnam War, the United States used state-of-the-art technology in a secret attempt to change the weather. Operation Popeye is believed to be the first time in history that a government tried to manipulate the weather for a military advantage. 1954, the division of Vietnam. North Vietnam believed in the unification of the country under communist rule, while the South, supported by the U.S., was mostly anti-communist.
That's what they'll tell you.
Several years after the divide, the North developed the Ho Chi Minh Trail, a secret network of roads, bunkers, and tunnels stretching over thousands of miles to transport troops and supplies. This left South Vietnam and its allies at a disadvantage. American efforts to bomb the trail were unsuccessful. So in 1967, the United States secretly launched Operation Popeye, a daring attempt to prolong the monsoon season by making it rain more than usual. For 5 years, the U.S. Air Force flew more than 2,000.
5 years that they were just doing this wicked thing to the people over there. Imagine that. It's like you look up at the sky and say, why it keep raining over here all the time?
In secret missions during the rainy seasons, planes released silver iodide into the clouds to increase the amount of precipitation produced, a technique known as cloud seeding. The U.S. government hoped that increased rainfall would slow the North's movement and provide cover for U.S. military advances. But in 1972, journalist Seymour M. Hersh exposed Operation Popeye to the public. Within a few days, the United States stopped the operation.
See, as soon as they get exposed, they stop it. Well, they say they stop it. And what they, like I said, what they do is they change the name, they change the company, and all the funding. When you watch a lot of these movies and things start getting exposed, people start to go missing, politicians get arrested, certain things happen, and then it gets all hush hush. And then as soon as things quiet down, okay, here we go. We can call it Operation Bluebird now. And you have you have all the funding to go ahead and start making it rain again.
However, the public was still angered by the government's attempt to alter the weather. As a result of Operation Popeye, the U.S. joined other nations in signing the Environmental Modification Treaty in 1977, pledging never to use the weather as a weapon again. In the end, the true impact of Operation Popeye remains unknown, as no environmental data was ever collected.
Now the claims are getting even more bizarre. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, a congresswoman of Georgia, is now saying the federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather. It's beyond ridiculous. It's got to stop.
That's one more video now. Hope everyone is doing all right.
While you're getting that together, this is also why, family, was just brought to my attention again, why we have problems trying to find the moon for the feast days, because they don't want us to look out. The people are watching YouTube. They're watching us, following us carefully. Remember Judith chapter 5, I think it is, or 6, that they watch us to see if we're keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. If we're keeping the laws, which is the feast days, they can't fight against us. If we're not, which means Christmas and Sunday, they can do whatever they want. They can manipulate us, right?
Yeah.
And so this is why whenever we try to see when the moon is going to show up, whatever, all of a sudden, the day before, all of a sudden the skies is crisscross and all kinds of, you don't see it other times like that. You might see one, but it's always during, and you know where they set it up? Towards the west. Towards the west. So when you look towards the west, you can't see anything. Just keep
That's true.
Keep that in mind. Make a note of it. Watch every time. It's not the end of the month of November or October. It's the end of the Hebrew cycles with the moon. Watch and see, and just make a note of it and see if perhaps maybe we're just all kooks, crazy, whatever.
Yeah. All right, here's the last video, Mishpachah.
Hurricane Milton has finally exited the United States and the impacts have been felt, but the good news is that we are done in Florida for now when it comes to tropical systems, but there might be another tropical storm or hurricane that develops in the Caribbean Sea next week, which we'll be talking about today. In addition to that, we are going to be seeing a major weather pattern change across a large chunk of the United States, which is going to feature a big cold blast and maybe even the return of severe
winter's coming. Winter is coming.
Weather as we go later into this month. So let's begin with what's happening across the country right now, and you'll notice there is hardly any cloud cover across anywhere from the Great Plains all the way back through the East Coast, and mainly because Milton has finally moved away from the United States. This is post-tropical cyclone Milton. It became extra tropical after landfall in Florida. It was still producing significant damage, including the wind and as well as the storm surge and flooding rainfall, but it is finally out of here, and all that is left is really nice dry weather for much of Florida, which will be here probably for the next couple of days. Now, you may have heard, you may have also seen it, there were northern lights visible across nearly the
Now, who have seen this, Mr. Carr? Have anyone seen this here?
Entire United States last night. They were visible in Florida, Bermuda. This is actually a photo from Melissa on Facebook back over in North Texas.
So basically, it's not normal to see it from that distance because the sky is so clear from all of the congestion. This is what he's saying.
So again, the northern lights were visible last night. If you got to see them, it was a spectacular event, not nearly as intense as what we had it back in early May across much of the United States, but nonetheless, almost every state had visibility with either their camera or with the naked eye. Well, this is the temperature anomalies. It gives you an idea of above and below average temperatures in the United States. This is what it looks like through Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Again, notice this warm pocket of air, mostly over the Great Plains. Once we go into early next week, though, that cold air mass is going to build really quickly, and it's going to plummet again into the Midwest and as well as back through the Ohio Valley by late Sunday night into Monday morning, and it's eventually going to go all the way down into the southeast and as well as up and down.
So you see where that's going?
on the east coast of the United States, and this is going to again sit there for several days. The Great Plains are going to be probably pretty hit or miss with this. It might just kind of edge that area, but other than that, we're not really going to be seeing this really impact the Great Plains.
So look at that. You have hot on one side, cold on the other. That's not normal, okay? It's basically what he's saying. It's not normal how this whole thing is moving.
Heavily, but there will be a noticeable cool down, just not really as noticeable as the East Coast. Once we go later into the week, again, notice how that warm air mass builds right back in, and that basically means that we are going to be dealing with the repeat of what we've just seen for the last couple of weeks for much of the United States in terms of the heat. Now,
let's talk about the weather piece of this. So we're seeing the weather manipulation. We've covered this extensively here on the show. The NextRad radar systems that have been used to direct and move these storms in a path of destruction. The control of these storms is unbelievable. And I think most Americans were kind of silent, didn't realize that this was actually happening. I think the cat is out of the bag on all of this now.
So just look at it. So if you live near one, you see one. Okay, so let's leave it as that.
I'm curious what the South Pole Station is, and when you work there, how it actually is able to be used as an earthquake generating machine, what else it's doing there. And maybe how this is tied to the current weather events and all of the things that we're seeing right now across the United States. Can you give our audience more of an overview of that?
Absolutely. The South Pole Station has a system known as the ice cube neutrino.
So what he's going to say is there's a North Pole system and a South Pole system, meaning that there with this company, there's a place that they have up north that facilitates a lot of this stuff, operates. So operate from the north and from the south. So he's going to explain the two.
Detector. It is currently the world's largest phased array transmitter. This is basically Tesla technology. I'm sure a lot of the
Tesla technology
audience is familiar with systems like HARP, which is effectively built on the surface of the Earth, and it has a 2D situation. It has length and width as far as a phased array goes.
So what he's saying is in the north section, it's like a system like what HARP has, but it's a two-dimensional system where it's going this way and that way. Now he's going to explain the next system now.
The South Pole Station differs in this so far as it also goes down deep into the ice, giving it a third dimension, length, width, and height. So it has exponential more, I guess you would say, capabilities, targeting discharge of power. Then yeah, it's like HARP on steroids, basically.
So the one up north is a simple one. The one down south is like HARP on steroids. So this one is into the earth, not just on top. This one goes deep into the earth also to conduct, sending electromagnetic waves and different things into the earth. And he's gonna explain some more stuff.
So yes, it generated the earthquakes that occurred in Christchurch, New Zealand in February of 2011.
Did you hear what he says? Earthquakes. So even the earthquakes that they're messing with. Think about that, Mishpachah.
And you told me before, I'll let you go on in a second, but when you and I chatted on the phone a few weeks ago, you mentioned, I don't know if you can say this now or if I'm speaking out of telling tales out of school here, but you were speaking to a source that you worked with at the South Pole Station. Since you left there, said the technology has gotten so advanced now with these generation of earthquakes that it's like an autopilot system in an aircraft. I think you described it, that it's so advanced now, it would blow your mind at how targeted these earthquakes are that they can use from this South Pole Station.
Basically, the trick of it all, one of the things that I learned when I went to this event in Alamosa, Colorado, I spoke with a gentleman by the name of Dr. Simeon Hein, and he was doing a presentation on ball lightning. And one of the things that he discussed was how there are reports when earthquakes occur that ball lightning, I guess you would say, is ejected, manufactured by the earthquake. So I engaged him in a dialogue, and I said, well, Doc, wouldn't there be some sort of symmetry there that if an earthquake can discharge ball lightning, wouldn't we be able to deliver ball lightning to generate an earthquake? And he agreed that it's just simply the matter of being able to deliver said energy, which for all practical purposes, think of it having an explosive capacity to it. So
basically, you're taking that energy and concentrating it into that location that you want, that target. And then it can happen. And when it's happening, it causes these bright bursts of lightning, is what he's saying.
if you can wirelessly transmit energy from a power supply somewhere on Earth, deliver it to another location, the end result is quite simply an earthquake. Wireless transmission of energy is something that Nikola Tesla has brought up, hundreds.
So while they're down in the south, they can pinpoint and says, let me target this location, this island, this Brazil, wherever they want to point. They push a few buttons from the satellite, it triggers that thing, and you have that earthquake.
Some odd years ago.
Can I make a quick comment, Brother Shea?
Uh-huh.
I don't want to mess with your feed there, but I've heard it said that the solar flares also generates earthquakes. And what thought came to mind, if that be true on its own, what if what these people do is wait for whenever there's a known solar flare and then use that as a cover to do a man-made thing behind the scenes, you know what I mean? So that they can have a cover to say, well, it was a solar flare, when they're using that window of opportunity to actually do whatever that they want to do. You follow me?
That's true.
This is the state of the union, is that Nikola Tesla discovered this stuff. The powers that be absconded his information. They cordoned it off away from the mass population and have been monopolizing the use of these types of technologies for many decades now. We, the people, are suffering under this monopoly of technology by our oppressors. It's literally just that simple. And that would be the motive for them to have agents, for lack of a better term, flooding the disclosure community with BS to muddy the waters and confuse us, we the people, so that we can continue to be wholly oppressed and well managed.
Now the claims are getting even more bizarre. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, a congresswoman of Georgia, is now saying the federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather. It's beyond ridiculous. It's got to stop.
It's beyond ridiculous. It's got to stop.
When you were at the South Pole Station, you witnessed this ice cube neutrino machine in action. So it goes deep, and it's and much larger than HAARP. And I guess just walk us through what they would be using this for. How would they be manipulating the weather? How would they be manipulating and targeting earthquakes around the world? Why would they be doing this? And who is in control of the South Pole Station at this point? Is it the United States government? You were a contractor with Raytheon when you were there. Is it a private enterprise? Who is controlling it?
Great questions. First and foremost, one of the things that the former crew members had emphasized to me to try to get people to understand as I'm trying to get this information out there is that you have to understand it's just very easy now to deliver that energy anywhere on the planet. It's not challenging.
Like they can pick a spot. They can They can pick a spot in Iran, and they can just dial it in on the computer and launch an earthquake.
Deliver the energy that instigates it. The term that people should be.
You hear that, Mishpachah? So they can pick a spot, like I said, and they can deliver that energy. They can send that typhoon there, or that hurricane, or that tornado, cause that earthquake, make it rain in that area, or stop it from raining. All in the name of weaponizing for war, because at the end of the day, they're trying to control everything.
I'm familiar with this earthquake induction or earthquake.
You want to say something?
I had a verse that this reminded me of. You can check it out after the video.
Yeah. Just see if after the video.
Inducing. So similar to like when you go on the internet and you Google chemtrails, right? You're going to get a whole bunch of baloney that says chemtrails are garbage, blah, blah. But if you Google the term stratospheric aerosol injection, you'll start to find all of the science of what's really going on when they crisscross our skies.
See, if you dig enough to find the names, you'll see what they're saying. So you gotta do your research and see all of the magical wordplay that they put out there.
So
and the patents and all of that.
Absolutely,
yes.
yeah. So
right.
if you look up inducing earthquakes or earthquake induction, you will become privy to a sea of information.
So look that up. Earthquake induction. When y'all get a chance, Google it, do some research on your own so you know what to look out for, okay?
Science that supports the existence of this technology. It's just that available. People just need to start paying attention to what's going on in the world around them and this disparity in technology. As far as who's running the facility, I'm not 100% sure. This was part of that conversation that I had in Washington, D.C., is because it seems like these, unacknowledged special access programs, USAP, which anybody who's paying close attention, USAP is the actual title of the Antarctic program. It's the
and it's not the United States Postal Service, okay?
United States Antarctic Program, USAP. It is a USAP program by definition. So
wow.
they are being very deceptive as to what the secondary and tertiary capacities are for this massive phased array system, and they're just pumping it out to the general population as if it's operating under the auspices of science. Of course, things like that have to be secreted away. They're not going to be running around saying we have the world's largest directed energy weapons system at the South Pole Station in Antarctica, because first and foremost, it would breach the Antarctic treaties.
It's beyond ridiculous. It's got to stop.
It's beyond ridiculous. It's got to stop.
All right, Mishpachah, that is the videos that I have for tonight. Because of time, there's so much, I can go into so much more, but because of time's sake, I had to cut it short. Brother Zephaniah had a scripture you want me to pull up? What was it? It said Proverbs 16 and verse 33?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's see what that says. Okay, go ahead.
It said, "The lot is cast into the lap, but the whole disposing there'of is of Yahuwah."
Uh-huh.
So they can manipulate all these clouds and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, Yahuwah is behind it all, and he'll say what goes.
Yep, it plays right into what the Most High has, because at the end of the day, our prophecies already tell us exactly what will happen, Mishpachah. I'm going to pull up this, unless somebody's have another text, this last one here. Ephesians chapter 5 and verses 16. And it reads, "Redeeming the time, because the days are evil." This is what we have to realize, Mishpachah, because these days that we have are nothing but wickedness, okay? So the question is, what can we do, Mishpachah, as Israelites today? Why should we even care? Because a lot of Hebrews are going to still come down to this question here. What's the sense of this? Okay. Being informed helps you to know how to prepare. Is that correct? Otherwise, why do you go to work? Why do you pay your bills? You shouldn't care anything about that. Why are you having families? Why do you want to eat? Because I can ask a dumb question with another dumb question, if you want to put it that way, for people who want to play the game of why. The Most High already tell us to look out for these things and to prepare your families. If you don't care, then that's on you, but don't stop another person from preparing to take care of their families. So we are not asking people to be paranoid or to become conspiracy nuts. That's not what we're doing here. But be vigilant. It will make one proactive, or makes one proactive, wise and able to sustain life. Because at the end of the day, we are keeping Torah, and Torah is about life. It's about keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, which is build houses, plant gardens, have families, and obey the law of the land. Love your brother. These are things that we are instructed to do. So in the upcoming future, we'll have more things to bring out on this, because this is just a little bit of information that I pulled out just to put together, but there's so much. The rabbit hole goes deep. And you see the illustration says control the weather. There's a hand, like just like the topic is tonight, weather warlocks. And in the bottom says control the land. And again, Agenda 2030. So we are in 2024, heathens years, right? That's 6 years from now, according to them, or 5 years and some change, because according to them, their new year is starting in a couple months. What are they planning? Think about that, Mishpachah. Noah preached for 120 years. So we are warning our people to be prepared. Brother Zephaniah, you wanted to say something?
I just wanted to add on to what you were saying, because that's from Jeremiah 29, right? Verse 4. Because at the end of the day, like in doing that, in focusing on our little situations and just making sure that Elohim is above it all, we just shine like lights in the darkness, and that makes good circumstances for ourselves to be in, rather than just thinking that, you know, we're subject to all this evil that's in the world. Actually, know that the people who are creating the evil are subject to their own evil.
Yep. I like how he says, shine our light in this dark world. This is what we're supposed to do, because there are other Israelites who are trying to get out of this darkness. And if it's just that one little lamb, like our Messiah said, the angels do what? Rejoice. So any last words before we close out for this evening? Weather warlocks. I hope everyone learned something and see the wicked deceptiveness that has been going on. They've been pushing this narrative of misinformation when we have all of the facts lined up. So this is not, again, conspiracy theorists. The evidence is there, Mishpachah. You just have to do some research.
My question is, how come they never put a notice on Wikipedia labeling Wikipedia's information and all the different sources? You can see the footnotes, right? Footnotes connect to all the other archives of information, PDF files, videos, whatever it is. How come they don't label Wikipedia's information as hearsay or false information or something? They don't do that. It's there that anyone can see it. You can go check the footnotes, see the sources of where they're getting this information from. It connects to government sites. It connects to different scientists and their papers and whatever the case may be. It's all out there for us to see. But in our minds, let me tell you something. You would find that in most churches, they don't talk about this stuff.
Oh, no.
It's all about love you and just love. But they don't talk about how the world has been exploited. This is the earth that the Most High made. The Bible says the earth is He was and the fullness thereof. Right? Everything belongs to Him. We are supposed to be stewards of His earth, to use the things that He has given us with care, with love, so that He can return favor on us. We give, we also receive. He receives, He gives. And it's this relationship where everything just flows naturally and beautifully, right? But these people are just takers. They take stuff, they don't want to give anything. And when they see something nice, they change it, they destroy it, or they keep it for themselves. We just want to have it for ourselves. We don't want anyone else to enjoy. This is why Bill Gates has bought so much property. I understand that he also has a lot of beachfront that he bought up, what is it, Tampa? And Tampa is known to have a lot of government alphabet things over there too. So there's a lot of fishy stuff going on, family. A lot of fishy stuff, right? And that place that got destroyed in North Carolina, I think that was a place where lithium,
the lithium deposits, yeah.
Huge lithium deposits. I guess they were trying to get that property over there or something.
Mm-hmm. And one of the ways they were trying to get from the people, because a lot of people are invested in this product, and the people who own the lands there for generations, when they come to find out that they don't want to pay them what the land is worth, and who wants to move from what they had for their father passed on. So what's a smart way of doing it? Weaponize the weather and start destroying some people along the way.
Allegedly, brother O'Shea.
Allegedly. Elder, any last words you want to say? Yeah. Brother Zephaniah, pass Elder the mic.
All praises, family. All praises to the Most High. So far, so good. Hearing and seeing for ourselves. You know, what I can say to myself and the family, in these last days, we need to study, watch, and pray, because the days are evil. That's all we can do. When we do that, keep the commandments and do that. So when Yeshua comes, all of us that do that will have a place in his kingdom. I just want to encourage you so far. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. But if no last words, Ella, can you close us out in prayer?
Let's pray, family. Father in heaven, we thank you once again for your blessing. We thank you for the time that we have sit down here and listen to your words from Brother O'Shea. We have given him the words that he can share to us. Every Friday night, him and Brother Yana get together, and Brother Kifa reads likewise. Thank you for Brother Zephaniah that read. We thank you for Brother O'Shea, the words you have given unto him. We ask you to bless him, bless them, bless Brother Yana likewise. We prepare us for the coming Shabbat tomorrow. Father, help us, Father, as we learn, as we hear and listen carefully. Let us not play dumb. Let us be wise children and prepare ourselves, repent those that need to repent. Change your life, Father. Family, the days are evil. Going to be more wicked and more wicked time after time. So, Father, we thank you for your words tonight. Bless us and guide us. Dismiss us with your blessing, because we thank you. Through your Son, Yeshua, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Let the words of our mouth and meditation of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Yahweh, our strength and our Redeemer. All right, Mr. Bakar, until tomorrow, this Shabbat, we say shalom and get a good night rest.
Lila Tov, Mr. Bakar.
Lila Tov.
All stay strong, stay sharp.